Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of From the Ink Up, your low-level Splatoon tournament, brought to you by Under Pressure. I am Squidoku, and joining me on the mic is...
Hello, I'm that AC kid, or just AC. I'm here for, again, our From the Ink Up 72 coming here today.
Yeah, I know I for sure am excited to bring you this tournament. For our first round, which we will be getting right into very soon, we have two teams, First Impression versus Ascension Rising. I personally know Rocket on Ascension Rising. Also a commentator, last year's Pop Gun Breakout Commentator of the Year, which is very exciting. Now, if anyone in the audience doesn't know what the format of this tournament is, we have groups of 4 teams doing a little bit of a round robin to determine which team from each group goes into each of 3 brackets. And then the gold bracket will be competing for the trophy and the fun Sendu badge for this fun virtual badge for winning the event. So these teams will be fighting it out for a chance to compete for the top prize, or perhaps a win in a lower bracket.
Indeed. And in terms of our first map, I believe that is squinting real hard, Umami Zone.
Yep.
I'm right. Umami Zones. I honestly have very positive feelings about this map. I love this map. I'm a T-Tech player. This map's great. What are your thoughts on this map, Squidoku?
Yeah, I do enjoy it as well. It's one of the double zone maps, so you got to control both zones on both sides of mid. Pretty hard to see from one into the other. Having control of that top mid section, that ridge over the middle, is very important. That allows your team to be able to put pressure on either side depending on where the opponents are coming from, and it allows you to stage a push even further past the zone and maybe even try to lock out the other team, because this is a map where the lockout can be pretty nasty. There aren't a lot of ways to get into mid, and all of the ways that there are pretty exposed and pretty visible. So this is a map where if you are getting locked out, you really need to be able to put together a strong push with special weapons, probably at least 2 special weapons, or pop off from someone on the team to really end that and get back into mid. But if the 2 teams are evenly matched here, then it could easily go back and forth and last the entire 5 minutes. It could go any which way.
Indeed. And you mentioned lockouts are nasty on this map, but because of the 2 zones, sometimes you just end up in a situation where one team has one side, the other team has the other. You get absolutely lasered for standing on the mid column, and you're both just trying to throw your little just poke your very best over that little median, and just the breaking past into the other zone is just such a major part. Both zones need to be controlled, so
and especially with the way the penalty points work, if one side of mid, one zone gets neutralized, but the other one is still in control of the team who had been holding it, and then that team retakes the whole thing, then that team can just keep on scoring points and there's no penalty applied. The team that is defending, or rather not the team that is not in control, they have to put together quite a push to be able to control both zones in order to even pause that push that the attacking team is on.
Indeed. That added difficulty with the penalty points really makes it so that even if you manage to get all the way back into mid, where on most maps you would be able to flip it, add some big penalty, that might not be the case here, as if they can keep at least one zone to themselves, you're getting steamrolled for like the first 50 points or something, you manage to get back in, you want that 25 or so, if I remember correctly, point penalty. But if you don't get both zones, you don't get it, and they just pick right back up from where they left off. The penalty system just does not come into play. And it's just absolutely brutal and can end games quickly if you're not able to get all of mid.
I think on Splat zones, it is 3/4 of the points scored that the penalty is applied to. On clams, it's half, but here it is 3/4. So if you get 99 points scored and then the zone gets flipped, that is another 75 of penalty that you have to work through to get through to the knockout. But up here we do have a list of the rosters on each team. If you'll excuse me for just a moment, let me make sure to pull that up. Yeah, we have on the side of First Impression, there's Random, Kelp Chips, Milk, Jaguar, and Stormy. And on Ascension Rising, we have Kiyomi, Rocket, Splats, Geo, Astro, and Breaks. Both teams bringing more than 4 players to this tournament. They will be able to sub out these players between games if they need. And you can also see a little bit of what weapons that the teams are bringing to the table here. Anything on here that seems interesting to you, AC? Anything you'd like to see?
I'm having a bit of trouble with the resolution. I don't know if that's on my end or what. Can you list some of the weapons we got, if possible?
So on the side of First Impression, I do see Random bringing either Edit Pencil or the V Sploosh, which is a very interesting choice. Looks like Jaguar is a Slosher one trick potentially. Stormy playing a Blaster or Grey Zap, which I figure would be their source of Tacticooler if Random chooses to play Sploosh. Be interesting to see a very short line aggro comp from First Impression if that's what they would like to bring. Also noticing a very nice discriminator on Kelp Chips. That's impressive. Now on the side of Ascension Rising, let's see, we have looks like a brush one trick from Splats. Astro bringing out either a Hydra Splatling or a Roller, which is exciting to see. And Geo on Slosher, Dooley, or any of the Splatanas.
Oh boy, any of the Splatanas is a dubious match to go against. Like, just 3 different ways that you might get just absolutely sliced. And we're about to see what ends up happening as our game here begins. We've got the 4 against each other on the side of... I've forgotten names, I tried my best. On the side of... I'm cooked with weapons. I see G-Tech though! Shoutouts! I see Pencil, I see Dread. I love Dread for this map because it just covers all that zone. I see Splash, I see Blaster. 2 Dreads actually on either side. I love to see it. And we see immediately some action from them. The right zone's already capped by First Impression, but Ascension Rising manages to take it back, almost flipping the other zone. Strikes are at the ready. Those are very valuable for pushing back in such a small entry to mid choke point. But First Impression survives and takes back more of the zone. Only 4 or so points have gone in favor of First Impression, and the zones have been even since, as we were discussing beforehand. Although Ascension Rising does manage to capture both as they begin to push back First Impression.
Yeah, this initial skirmish, even though a few points can be scored, it'll often so happen that neither team will really take control until a little bit of time has passed. But I think only now, after an entire minute, we really see the tide swinging in one team's favor as First Impression do get the wipeout, taking out all 4 players on Ascension Rising, and they have easily taken that lead. Now, there's still a lot of points left to score. We see 1 player on the side of Ascension Rising trying to ride that rail, but there is that Reef Slider coming in from the Dread Ringer. It doesn't do anything to control the entire the entirety of both zones, though. That Reslider from the Dreadringer puts down a lot of paint all at once, but you have to get both zones, so it's not as strong on here. We did see, though, that Ascension Rising took both zones just for a moment, but now with 2 players down on first impression, their continued control may be in jeopardy. They might have to go back a little bit. There's another Reef Slider from Kiyomi, but that does push back the players on first impression and allow Ascension Rising to take control of mid. Now Geo on the Splatana Wiper here, putting down a bit of paint, trying to survive, squid rolling to survive that bomb right there. As Ascension Rising are continuing to score points, there's a crab tank coming out from Kelp Chips, but it isn't really going to do a whole lot of damage or pain. But after the crab ends, Kelp Chips diving in, getting that splat onto Rocket, and helping stop Ascension Rising with just barely in any points left. First impression holding onto the lead.
Indeed, first impression caps the zone right before Ascension Rising manages to take the lead. This control of the zone, they keep going. They go for another Reef Slider, but it doesn't quite get the zone and is quickly shut down. The strikes, they can easily capture one side, but yet again you need both. And when two go down on the side of Ascension Rising, they just don't have the manpower to push past first impression. First impression continuing up to this necessary choke point. They can't go much further, else they risk a flank from that lower area. But they don't really need to, is with continued splashdowns, they managed to get all the points all the way down to 20, though 2 down on first impression. 2 down on both, rather. But first impression went down first, meaning that one zone is to Ascension Rising, and that Dread on the top of that median gives it so much room to just paint all over. Ascension Rising caps the zone, adds a massive penalty to first impression, as they have to pop their own specials, get their own kills, and scramble back for control of this zone.
Yeah, interesting choice here from Ascension Rising, with both the Ink Rush Nouveau and the Splatana Wiper having that Ultra Stamps. Oh, Splats tries to pull out theirs, but gets taken out immediately. The only special available at the moment is the Reef Slider, and there are 2 Reef Sliders, one after the other. The duel seems to have been a bit of a stalemate there, with both players going down to other means. Now Rocket here on that 10 attack splatter shot, as the provider of strikes, is going to use them now to stall first impression, hold them back. There is more paint, a lot of paint that can come out of that Dread Ringer, and Rocket continues to stay alive here as the points keep going down for Ascension Rising. Only about 45 seconds here as Ascension Rising do take the lead in this game for the first time since the very beginning.
Indeed, Ascension Rising manages to get it all the way down to 7, 6, 5, 4. Unless its first impression does something crazy, they won't have it at all. Something crazy nearly happened, but paint was managed to put right back down immediately for Ascension Rising as it closes out our first map of the set in favor of Ascension Rising.
Yeah, that was a good play there for that team, holding on, keeping strong, even as a significant lead was built up for first impression. Ascension Rising was able to handle that well, and towards the end, get enough of a lockout of their own to prevent first impression from taking the zones back, especially with that late game Splat Bomb pick from Rocket there. A very, very good play that reduced the power to put down paint from first impression, and that will give the game to Ascension Rising and bring us to game 2.
Indeed. In game 2, we'll be on Undertow Spillway Rainmaker. I feel like I've been seeing this map mode in tourney pools since the game began. There's that very far off but close to the finish, like very far off from the start but close to the finish, usually preferred left path, and then you can really kind of get it if you get a quick burst, 2 down or 3 down, like 3 or 4 down in the opening skirmish. That right checkpoint, though, you do have to scale that just awful uninkable ramp. Most of the time people go for the left, but it's always an option.
Yeah, there are 2 routes to bring the Rainmaker, like on many maps here in Splatoon 3. It is the vast majority of the time you will see a team go for the longer route farther away from where the defending team spawns in. So from the perspective of the team carrying the Rainmaker, that is the left check, that is the much more common option. It is a lot more dangerous to just try and brute force a push on the right, but if the other team isn't watching it, if the coast is clear, then a rush, a sneak towards that right side can be very effective in at least getting the checkpoint, or even for scoring a lot of points quickly, because even though that ramp is slow to walk up, it can fairly quickly get a lot of points, and if the defending team isn't watching it, that could even get the lead depending on what score needs to be reached for a lead. So you'll often see that closer to the end of a game, if a team knows what mark they need to beat and knows how they can do it. But normally, of course, you will see teams aiming to go the left check, which is further away from where the defenders spawn in, and is also easier to fight in for the attacking team.
Indeed, and as we load into our game here, we're going to see what our two teams will bring out in order to help them secure whichever check they want and then the goal. For Ascension, right? First, I don't know. I'm going to be real upset about it. Yeah, first impression. We got Headed. We have that Dread Ringer is back, even though it's not zones. I do love to see Dread Ringers in a variety of situations. The Splash is back, the Blaster is back. Dread Ringer is actually back on both sides, but we do see V-Shot. First Impression gets that initial pop, although mid is still very much in contention by either team. An early cooler on First Impression might be crucial, but that Zuka threatens to just erase those benefits. Two go down to the Reef Slider, two go down on both sides, leading to, yet again, a similar situation, although Ascension Rising has the Rainmaker for a couple of seconds and manages to take some mid control with it. They will get this next pop, and now it is just a matter of securing what's ahead of them. But First Impression are coming back strong with that crab on the middle. They're clearly ready to take the Rainmaker out of it, and they seem to be breaking left immediately. If they're not shut down immediately, they may have some issues. This Reef Slider aims to cover them, but gets surrounded. They get pushed back with that Rainmaker being left in showers. And Ascension Rising taking most of mid.
Yeah, one thing interesting is that I didn't even notice until this game started, but in the previous game, Ascension Rising were running a coolerless comp. Now, Tacticooler being essentially the meta-defining special of Splatoon 3, but this time around, both teams have one with Splats bringing the vanilla Dapple dualies in on the side of Ascension Rising. They will have a cooler in this game, and Random switching off of Pencil but to the heavy edit Splatling to be their Tacticooler provider here. Both teams, you see Stormy has that buff right now and will want to go in with it, especially with that Intensify action bonus that it provides. But now Random, having put down the Tacticooler, is the one holding the Rainmaker and won't get any more soda until the Rainmaker is destroyed or they reach the checkpoint. But 3 go down on the side of First Impression, including the Rainmaker, and that means Ascension Rising have a chance to fight back. Stormy goes down as well. That becomes a delayed wipe. Now Kiyomi here we see moving in, painting forward with the Rainmaker, as it is Geo, it looks like, who picks it up and has some swim speed on their gear to allow them to move it faster, especially as 3 players go down, and Random's edit is not in range, and that gives Ascension Rising the lead as they take the checkpoint.
Indeed, Ascension Rising takes this checkpoint. There used to be uninkable platforms here, but now there is not. It's a much easier area to push through than it used to be. However, this Dreadringer and Blaster combo disagrees. The ultimate mid-range menace, shutting down Ascension Rising's push towards the goal and grabbing the Rainmaker for themselves as they're able to easily come back to mid. Ascension Rising, however, is waiting for them there, ready to try to take them down. Dapples go down, and this Blaster isn't about to go down without a fight. 3 go down on the side of Ascension Rising, but 2 go down on First Impression. So although it is just this Dreadringer here, that doesn't exactly mean that they're safe, especially with this position and this mid-range force. They could easily cover this entire path to this left check. And First Impression do seem dead set on this left check. They pop the Reef Slider, they get one, but they don't quite get the Splatter Shot. Splatter Shot takes them down. Ascension Rising gets the pop, and First Impression is going to have to fight in an awkward spot if they want to get that Rainmaker back, as they both contest this objective.
Yeah, there's a good pick for Stormy there. 2 going down on the side of Ascension Rising, but the Rainmaker does reset, and Kiyomi taking that strong position there again, able to put out a lot of paint over that right side that First Impression will be trying to go through. Even those suction bombs getting a lot of work done. Splats diving in, using that incredible firepower of the Dapple Doolies, forcing another player to jump out as Ascension Rising. That is once again, now it's Kiyomi who picks up the Rainmaker. The Reef Slider that Kiyomi has isn't going to be available because of they picked it up, but now First Impression only has a minute, less than a minute, only 30 seconds here to get the Rainmaker all the way to 31 remaining in order to take the lead. Splat's already coming in on the flank once again, gets a trade there, doesn't manage to get more, but we saw Splats doing that flank a little bit earlier. Looks like they did go up that unpaintable ramp just to get around behind the other team. It didn't really work out as much as they might have liked, but now with 2 players still up, both with specials ready to go, a Reef Slider could be absolutely deadly here with First Impression having to get the Rainmaker now or never. If they go down here, it is game over, but they're trying to force their way through. There's the Reef Slider from Kiyomi, but it's the hammer from Ascension Rising, from Geo, that secures this set for them. Of course, this is a play all 3, so we are going to be seeing these teams playing a third game, but this secures the set for Ascension Rising over First Impression.
Indeed, Ascension Rising manages to get a swift 2 games in their favor, just so they have those points, that victory. One was the name. First Impression can still win round 3, get a bit of a better look for this set as a whole, and that round 3 is going to be played on Museum Clams. Again, another classic map, always seen it around. We're going to be seeing the spinners that everyone knows and loves, and because it's Clam Blitz, that box on the far left that you can just jump up to get a straight path to the goal. I do remember those Dapples going for some flanks, and I can totally see those Dapples going for that box jump to just try to get in, get those jumps. What do you think about this, Squidoku?
I think that's possible. I think they are probably going to want to bring Tactics Cooler again. This is a mode where it can be very beneficial, and especially on a map as big as Museum d'Alfonsino. But of course, there's also the possibility that Splats will go back to a brush, because a brush can absolutely wreak havoc in Clam Blitz by, say, dropping down the short flank route and getting behind the enemy team and maybe providing a jump, or just picking up clams along the way to make a sneaky push all the way to the basket.
Indeed. Yeah, I honestly forgot the brush was also there as well. Brush could play a big thing. You see it all the time. Just like open Clam Blitz, ranked rotation, rush. And that's just because it's incredible for rushing down anything and everything. Being able to simply just walk at a faster speed. You don't need any paint in front of you. You make your own. You don't need teammates in front of you, because you are the one paving that path. It's just, and especially on Clam Blitz, where it really is just get to this point as fast as you can. The brushes pick up and they go, all right, I've got that. And right now, our final match, a map of this set is ready to start up.
Oh,
We see
baby!
Sploosh!
Oh, baby! They have won the set, and they are going to be having some fun here.
Glim speed!
Oh,
Sploosh is crazy! Nah, I can see it working. I know they're messing around, but I love me a Sploosh-o-matic. Look at them go! The speed is unmatched!
I will say, the Sploosh was the first weapon I got all the way to 5 stars in this game, so we'll see how this kit works. Curling bombs and hammers galore. The short range, up in your face danger, and they are running so much swim speed. There are a total of like 7 main abilities of swim speed across that team.
My God.
Splats is running 3 mains of it completely. Everyone else at least 1. And in fact, they've already scored a power clam and 10, 11, 12, 13 more small clams to get themselves. Oh, they are still going. This is a massacre.
Oh my God, the Sploosh has showed up. They said, look at my swim speed. I'm going, like they were talking about the rush stuff, and they're just accomplishing the same thing with their curling bombs. They're sprinting forward. It's been 1 push. Why is the clam counter at 11 on a quad Sploosh team? What's going on? We see a First Impression managed to reclaim their basket, but not their spawn, as we see one of the Splooshes slip up there. They're trying their best to just rush down these Splooshes, although Splooshes tend to do well in short-range combat. They get fireworks by Splatoon 3 network. It's just an absolute battleground. Ascension Rising does not care about forming a line. They're beating people to death with hammers in mid. They're just trying their best at the top against First Impressions clams. Actually, hold on, no, I'm looking at the wrong clam basket. This is... They've opened it again. They're back here.
Yeah. Ascension Rising scoring again. They only need 30 points to score here. Stormy, they are holding that power clam on mid. Stormy having the blaster. We do have another team here that is running 4 different weapons. Stormy here with that big bubbler ready to go, hoping to put together maybe a more conventional push, using that bubbler to clear out and secure some space under the basket. There's that Reef Slider coming out from Milk on the Dread Ringer, but as the splash goes down, it looks like they are having to fall back again, as there is one player on the side of Ascension Rising bringing out that hammer, but going down. I believe that looks like it is Splats who went down to there, but still 2 players up, holding the line against First Impression. They have 2 power clams at their disposal, but then the hammer chasing and forcing Stormy to drop back into mid. They are not letting them get anywhere close to the basket.
Indeed, they are not. Surprisingly, the Quad Sploosh team means that if you get within punching distance of them, they are going to punch you. Ascension Rising yet again on the doorstep of First Impression. First Impression desperately trying to get this clam forward, but getting chased down by the Sploosh that can travel the entire map in a good 1 whole second. First Impression's terrified to leave their spawn, and that terrifiedness has led to a hammer triple! They're chasing for the quad! They don't quite get it, but they get that last clam in, and they end the game 3-0.
I think that might have been 2 power clams at just about the same time, because I think they had 30 points left. Like 11 plus 29 penalty, but 2 power clams at 20 each would have been more than enough to get that knockout. And with 3 going down to that 1 hammer, almost 4, that was a very sudden 3-0 sweep in favor of Ascension Rising. I think First Impression had no idea what just hit them.
I wouldn't either, dog. They got beat to death with hammers, quite literally. Like, here's just Sploosh appears. There's 4 of them. They try to break past. They're just like, I can diff some Splooshes. Sploosh has no range. High damage, no range though. However, just because you don't have range doesn't mean you don't have the ability to close that gap. Just rapidly approached.
Yeah, and the main gear abilities that they had, we had 3 stealth jumps, 1 ninja squid, 1 comeback, and 7 swim speed up. Those were some fast swimming splooshes out there. That was some squirrely movement, and that was something to watch.
Yeah. It was just a difficult to defend against. Like I said, with Clam Blitz, that goal is in the same place. So being a weapon like Brush or an R case Sploosh, just quickly approaching that goal is absolutely the way to go. Although most people don't do it with the curling. Indeed.
Alright.
And next up, let me open. Hold on. I think. Yep. Next up is Inkspire versus Inkblot Dropouts, and I believe our first game on that will be Splat Zone's Barnacle and Dime. I love sitting on two plats and staring at mid. What do you think about this map, Squidoku?
Let me see. So you said Barnacle and Dime, spot zones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one that we've seen. It's another one where the lockout can be pretty bad, but since it is just a single zone, a single special from the defending team can retake it quite easily, and the flank route, the very low elevation flank route that was only added later on in an update that changed the map a little bit, that was something that does enable it to be a sneakier route, but also compared to Umami Ruins, it is a lot closer to the zone, and so that does make it easier for the team trying to retake it to be able to do so.
Indeed, and that side bit you were mentioning is also a lot steeper in Barnacle and Dime. It's a quick drop-off rather than Umami's gradual slope. So where on Umami you can see somebody, they have to fully approach you, be in your field of sight the entire time. You can definitely smack them down. On this map, you get no such luxury, and one may pop out at any moment. Especially on those alleys, if you try to push through those alleys to just get an off angle on returning enemies, you may get surprised there, and those alleys are also a very valuable spot to just kind of pop up and threaten that snipe on the enemy plat. All around, great addition to the map, and I like the ability. Personally, I love the ability to threaten that snipe area, because a good position pencil on there can really just command an entire battlefield.
Yeah, and now we see the rosters on these teams. Unlike in the previous set, these teams are only 4 players apiece, so they will be running the same players no matter what. It does look like on the side of Inkblot Dropouts, they do have someone filling in perhaps from a different team with a different tag. I believe that's an enemies, but they are playing for Inkblot Dropouts in this tournament. Let's see, on the side of Inkspire, let's see, I see 3 of them do have sword listed under their weapons. I would believe that refers to the Splatana Stamper. Then on the side of Inkblot Dropouts, I see Octoshot Tetra Dualies, both swords from Micah, Splash and Carbon as well, and looks like Ash mostly plays Splatlings, Mini, Heavy Edit, as well as Dowser Dualies. Now, both of these teams are 0-1, having lost the first round, but both teams actually went 1-2 in their first round set, so they lost the set, but did manage to take a game, and it does look like from the results that both of them, at least one of them, they both did take it to game 3, but now we are getting right into it. There are 2 swords coming out from Inkspire, and on the side of Inkblot Dropouts, there is an Edit and a Splattershot Junior.
Oh, Junior! there. I love Junior. I think of the Decav and the Junior are very intentional here, as that bubble will be very helpful for protecting that middle zone on the map. It's a bit small. It's pretty normal sized actually, but nonetheless, being able to just threaten from that bubble is very valuable. Inkblot Dropouts immediately pops the crab, but an Inkspire player from behind manages to destroy it. Inkspire's Headit manages to just command this middle of the map, but we see that bubble coming up, threatening this side near Snipe. Just completely stopping them, but Inkspire is just all over, behind, and forward, managing to get most of the.
Yeah, Inkspire is able to get right through that bubble with a hammer of theirs, and now in control of the zone. They are getting close to taking the lead here, but Inkblot Dropout's trying to come back. They've got 2 specials ready to go. Tacticooler, which goes out right now, as well as a big bubbler from that Splattershot Junior. It's not quite ready for them to move in yet, but they try to do it, but the same bubble comes out from Spada on the side of Inkspire, and so that means that Inkspire are able to hold on. Right at the moment, they don't have the numbers advantage, but neither team has any specials ready to go. Inkblot Dropouts moving in, trying to take the goat, but Spada's sharking there from behind, getting 1 pick, looking for more, goes down to the Kraken coming out from Octo's custom range blaster, and Inkblot Dropouts hold on and don't let them knock out just yet.
Indeed, Inkblot Dropouts manages to retake the zone, but here comes that hammer. Gets actually taken down. This crab that we saw near the beginning, it did get taken out from behind last time, but there's no such player in the backline. Inkspire has to respect it, fall back, get their cooler before they return, but as they fall back to get that cooler, Inkblot Dropouts is at their ankles trying to go for this plat. Inkspire tries to come back with solo hammers and other specials, but Inkblot Dropouts shuts them down, puts down this aggressive bubble. It gets shredded, but it gives them enough time to sit on this top plat. However, as they leave that zone, Inkspire manages to capture it and clean up whoever's around there as they begin to work on their hefty penalty.
Yeah, I see Quillar on the side of Inkblot Dropouts running that Splattershot Junior. For their gear, they do have 3 main abilities of Inksaver sub. So using that larger ink tank on the Junior, they are, and those gear abilities, they are able to just put out 2 splat bombs in succession, and they have been using that combo quite a bit. There's one more coming out for them, fighting for their life as 2 players collapse onto them, and so Inkblot Dropouts don't have much time left as Inkspire hold onto the zone. They paint it up, just a little bit left, and they are almost ready to knock out. Inkspire managed to knock out and take game 1.
Indeed. Inkblot Dropouts was just held at bay for too long by Inkspire. As much as they wanted to, they would have had to mount the perfect full team attack with all of their specials at the ready to even get back to mid, and then they would have to fight a long, hard overtime. So that was a incredible victory from Inkspire.
Yeah, very well done to them. Good defense, good retake when they needed to do so. And even though those hammers from the Wiper did get occasionally canceled, they did get a little bit done with them, and it worked just enough for them to get into positions to help them take the lead at points. And the specials that they did have, especially with that bubbler from Spada, that helped them to take that game.
Indeed, and next up on our menu is Hagglefish Market Tower. Tower starts in the middle. It goes on one of the more curved paths in this game, stopping by that large oversight, or just the kind of tower. I guess tower isn't the right word for it in tower control, but that large overlook on the right, where the enemy team may be able to shut it down. You can hop onto there from the tower to stop them from doing so, but it just gives ample opportunity, and then the tower returns to its main path and goes back toward the goal.
Yeah, so the tower path here is a little bit curvy. There are it's a little bit awkward to fight when you're defending, because even though you do mostly have the high ground, if you're too far away, let's say you're playing a longer ranged weapon, you might not be able to see over the ledges that the tower is pretty much right up against as it makes its way towards the goal. So there is definitely opportunity for players on the attacking team to move forward, hide under ledges, and especially if we see a blaster like we saw from Octo on that game, blasters are very much very much a fan of tower control.
Indeed, and we see double Splatana from one side and the Luna Blaster on the other. You don't see Luna Neo too often, not regarded too highly with the hammer kit. But can still be a menace on tower control. You mentioned the hard to see over ledges on this one, and when a Luna shot comes out from that ledge, it makes it quite difficult. We've also got a lot of very skirmishy weapons with the double sword on one side, the sort of midline dualies on the other, as well as the Carbon Deco, known for being a very highly regarded skirmisher. As we start the game, Inkblot Dropouts immediately gets a very significant push up, getting 2 down and having the tower near this little ledge I was mentioning earlier already. If they are able to hold off this Headit from this ledge, especially with that Carbon Deco peeking the bottom over there, they may be able to get past. The bubble actually popped at this time for that express purpose. As Inkblot Dropouts swarm that top perch. 3 go down on the side of Inkspire, and it's looking like it's all momentum from here. Inkblot Dropouts continuing their push with this hammer, although it does get shut down, and it is a 3v1 situation on this tower for Inkspire. They manage to take it back, shoo Inkblot Dropouts off. As this Headit goes to paint mid, charging their next cooler, they do see a member of Inkblot Dropouts drop down to the left, but they do get taken down. A cooler in the tower path won't be there for long, but it is just enough time for that Headit to be able to respawn quickly after it goes down. The sword approaches. It's here to clean up what is going down at the foot of the tower. It trades with the Carbon, and it's just a mad fight for the tower as we're about to approach this first checkpoint.
Yeah, I think there's really a lot to take away from Inkblot Dropout's first push. And we have Polar still on that very much Inksaver sub junior, but there's those strikes coming out from Ash, who has switched to the custom Dowser dualies. They do manage to completely stop both the tower and all of Inkspire's momentum, getting that full wipeout onto Inkspire. So Inkblot Dropouts will be looking for another push. I did notice that Octo, using that Luna Blaster Neo, maybe they want to have the Fizzy Bomb for its sub that can put down a lot of damage in an area like, say, on the tower, as well as there's that hammer coming out the Ultra Stamp. They saw Inkspire use it in the previous game, and maybe they wanted to use it themselves. Even though Inkspire switched off of the Splatana Wiper for this game, Inkblot Dropouts have switched to it, and this time they don't have it ready at the moment, but they are able to get the tower all the way to the 3rd checkpoint, and 13 points remaining before Inkspire managed to take control of it once again.
Indeed, the Luna Blaster holding their own there for a little while, but that dead zone and that just lack of paint was too much to bear. Inkspire manages to retake the tower, although Inkblot Dropouts isn't out of this yet with such a significant lead, and still plenty of staying power in mid with how they're able to just get behind and swap down. Inkspire is over here with a shark on the side of the map, though. The Stamper gets one. It goes for another. They both back away from each other. 2 very long-ranged weapons. However, on the other side of the map, Inkspire is yet again approaching this overhang. A bubble down to try to secure a spot for them to move. 2 go down on the side of Inkblot Dropouts, so Inkspire may have an opportunity, but no one is on the tower. This Dualies has to hop off to secure this little side area, And if the tower isn't being pushed forward, it will not move to go down on Inspire as the fight is taken back to mid yet again.
Yeah, another thing to mention is that with Inkblot Dropouts switching off of the edit and Ash as their anchor, switching to the custom Dowsers with those tri-strikes, that is swapping out the Tacticooler for a more aggressive displacement and paint special. And now speaking of displacement, Micah has that Trizuka ready to go from the Carbon Roller that they are playing, and now Micah does get that pick onto the Splatana Stamper, which will reduce a bit the fighting power that Inspire have. They popped that bubble from Cleone on the decav this game, but they go down, and so Inkblot Dropouts only have 15 seconds more that they need to hold on, and with players going down on Inspire and not really as many on Inkblot Dropouts, there's one last chance for Inspire to make this push. They will get overtime, but we call these GG strikes for a reason. They come on out, but they didn't actually end the game there. With 3 going down on Inkblot Dropouts, Inspire are still able to hold on. Micah comes out with the flank though, and with dropping off the tower means that Inkblot Dropouts hold on to a game, and this will be determined in Game 3.
Indeed, Inkblot Dropouts win this game. The score goes to 1-1. Playoff 3 means that we get to see all 3 games anyways, but now this last one really matters, as Inspire versus Inkblot Dropouts will be fighting to see who gets the victory of this set. In this third game here, honestly, incredible tower gameplay we just witnessed, although Inkblot Dropouts did seem to have a very harsh grip from the beginning. Inspire clearly wasn't willing to give up that sword trying till the very end, and Inspire actually managing to reclaim the tower after GG strikes, which is a hard feat in and of itself. They managed to just get the numbers, and if they didn't, lose their footing right at the end, or if they lost their footing just a little later, because you saw that decav managed to end up there at the end. They could have stayed. They could have pushed that overtime. Really, anybody's game for this third map. Humpback Pump Track Rainmaker.
Oh, baby. Humpback Rainmaker. That is a decider for the ages. I have seen plenty of games come down to the wire on here, especially when it matters at the end of a set like this. Now, I do want to say, at the end of that last game, those strikes, we saw that Ash, I believe, only put 2 of them on or by the tower, and then tossed one over towards the other side. But with those strikes not coming out quite in time for the Ash's teammate, whoever was there, to win that fight on the tower, and so with the other team winning that fight, Inkspire, they managed to hold on, and I think they just lost track of Micah's Carbon Roller, who came out from the flank, not from directly ahead, and got past, I believe it might have been a recalling Zipcaster to get to the tower, get one splat onto the decav, and force off the edit. But now, here we do see Game 3. We are seeing the comps that these teams are bringing out, and it is going to be a Carbon Roller on both sides.
And we're also seeing the return of that Luna Blaster. Luna Blaster can easily be played in Tower, although most people don't really enjoy it as much in the other modes. I'm excited to see what it'll do. Perhaps they plan to use the unusual geography of this map to their advantage to just hit around all of those pesky corners. Inkblot Dropouts is not messing around. They want this Game 3, an immediate wipeout. They just get a quick check. They manage to push forward to try to secure this lane. Whoever pops will probably be able to follow this hammer that they have charged. The hammer gets 1, the hammer breaks the armor of another, the hammer gets 2, the strikes come out to try to just submit that. The hammer gets that suction, gets a 3rd. The Inkblot Dropouts Rainmaker only manages to get so far, and is popped by Inspire, killing that Luna Blaster, but it's already an insane start when only a minute has elapsed.
Yeah, the start can happen very quickly on here. You can score a lot of points, and you can give up a lot of points in an early push like that. Inkspire trying for a similar fast break play, but gets caught out by the defenders on Inkblot Dropouts, who put down a lot of paint by popping the Rainmaker there. Ash, even having Tri-Strikes ready, does choose to pick it up with the rest of the team diving forward like that. Micah in a fight, getting a trade with Spada on the decav, and now with Ash carrying the Rainmaker forward, Octo right by them, ready to defend with the fighting power of that Luna Blaster. There's that Decavitator dropping, managing to get 2, and now with 3 down, that is a full wipe onto Inkblot Dropouts, and now Inkspire have further to go and a lot of paint to get through, but they are in a similar situation. I'm not sure if they couldn't decide who to give the Rainmaker to, or they were just waiting for that Tacticooler from Disco to be ready, because Disco is now picking up the Rainmaker, swimming through that bubble and getting to the checkpoint as a fight was taking place behind them, popping it once again very quickly, but there's another bubble, this time from Inkblot Dropouts, as the Tri-Strikes are coming out as well. They haven't picked up the Rainmaker yet. Micah looking for a pick onto Ash. The Rainmaker is going to reset if it isn't picked up soon, but now Inkspire have picked it up once again, and now they've got 3 down. It's only Ash left alive, trying to defend, putting fire onto the edit, not the Rainmaker, but the Rainmaker still goes down 2 points, 3 points away from taking the lead. They have it, and they did manage to take the lead for Inkspire.
Indeed, that lead is very important with such a dominant start. Inkblot Dropouts may have been relying on it, but Inkspire taking that Rainmaker all the way to 21 means that Inkblot Dropouts are going to have to outperform them. As we can see here, this map allows for a big opportunity to go all the way over here and just drop off this short wall. But the trade-off is that your team might not quite be ready to pass through this little alleyway that's just so necessary. And sure enough, despite the companionship of those what are they? Dowsers. They can't quite manage to push through. Inkspire shuts them down. They have this Rainmaker, and they're going, I mean, if we could just get mid, we don't really need Rainmaker right now. If we can just get mid, we can turf war this when the last minute rolls around. They seem to be letting the Rainmaker reset. It will be moved a little closer to the hands of Inkblot Dropouts in the process. But Inkspire's taking the gamble that they won't have to worry about that, or maybe even that they can get the Rainmaker even further. They get that mid pop, and they're looking to get their surrounding area, but it's still anybody's game as they contest this middle of the map.
Yeah, I think Inkblot Dropouts might be getting nervous, and also I thought Inkspire might have been getting nervous earlier on, but both of these teams playing a little bit scrappy here, but of course that's the kind of gameplay that Humpback Pump Track really encourages with its very wide open spread out layout with all of those curved surfaces to attack over and swim around. Now here we see that Carbon Roller Deco here looking for a pick. It's the Decavitator that gets it, but Inkblot Dropouts picking up the Rainmaker, trying to move it past, trying to go for the fast break there, does get caught out, and now with 2 down on both sides, Inkspire will be happy to just keep on trading if the Rainmaker doesn't move. Now it looks like Inkblot Dropouts are trying to get that pop. They do want to keep it going, but Inkspire putting down a lot of paint, now picking up the Rainmaker and moving it to a safer, more protected location. One goes down on their team as they try to defend, but Inkblot Dropouts rush in. They don't manage until now to get the Rainmaker. 3 down on Inkspire. This could be a chance for Inkblot Dropouts. There's only 7 seconds plus overtime. They're taking it on the left side because that's closer. The heavy edit is looking to defend. They do get taken out. There are bombs coming in. There's the Carbon Roller trying to defend, but now there's a lot of clear space. They get the wipeout. They could get this right now. There's not much distance. They do take the lead back in overtime, and Inkblot Dropouts take this set 2-1.
Oh man, that incredible. From the opening wipeout to that low point score to Inkspire somehow managing to get all the way back, 21 points remaining. It looked like it was going to be a rough journey. However, the dubious overtime left side Rainmaker push is absolutely what decided the game. I've been caught off guard by this one more times than I'd like to admit. And it's just because it's so rarely taken, but in a situation like this, it's exactly what they need. The incredible smackdowns from Inkblot dropouts of everyone trying to drop down and just get that quick kill on Inkspire. It managed to secure that overtime, get past those points. They didn't even have to make it to the goal because of the overtime status.
And not just that, but for the jelly lovers in the audience, we did even get to see a biker jellyfish move biking across the top of the pump track as the game ended in overtime. Now, we didn't even mention it going into this game before. We had talked about the sneaky alternative path on Undertow Spillway earlier, but on Humpback Pump Track there is the less taken road on this time it's the left side, which is a lot harder to do if your opponent is expecting it. But I don't think that was the case, because the players on the side of Inkblot dropouts, they were able to set up into position to take out Disco as Disco was trying to defend, and then the rest of the team rushed in behind them but didn't manage to stay alive even. And so with a full wipeout and no splat bombs coming in to get the splat from the grave, that was free reign for Inkblot dropouts.
Indeed. And honestly, that was a set-ending win as well, because they were 1-1. That game 3 was what it all mattered on. And honestly, it was just an incredible call right at the end there to take that left path instead of continuing to push for the right. And honestly, the only win condition. When I saw that when I saw the Inkspire began to retreat with that Rainmaker, I thought it was over. But they brought it right next to where that path was. And as that match wraps up, our next one is arriving with the team's God's Greatest Gamblers versus 21 Jellies.
All right. I am excited to see this. We have both of these teams are 0-2 in the group stage so far, so they are fighting for their first win, and they are fighting for a chance to make it into bronze bracket. So here, the winner of this next set continues into the bronze bracket, and there is no fourth bracket, so the loser of this set is going home afterwards. So there is something on the line here for the teams that are playing in the set.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just so distracted by God's Greatest Gamblers. Shout outs to that team name. But our first map here is going to be Mako Mart on zones, with those two stacks in the middle being crucial to the overall control of mid. Especially if you position a long-range weapon like a pencil or splatter scope or something up there. They can really just shut down a lot of opportunities. We may see some of the skirmishy weapons we've seen earlier today approach from the little alleys as they climb up the stacks to take control where it may not be expected. It's honestly just a very balanced, all-round, everything has its niche map, and I love to see it.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at these two teams on their information on sendu.inc. Now, I believe God's Greatest Gamblers, it looks like they were a team that was assembled in the Splatoon Stronghold Beginner Academy, which I think it might have been the more recent one that only happened this year. So they have since then played in Low Inc., where they did take a set win against one of the other teams that they fought in Low Inc. So they did not go out of it winless. Now, 21 Jellies, looking at their team page, they don't have much information listed. They have on their team page, they have a pretty big roster, but they only have 5 on the list for this tournament. Now, I'm looking if they have results. They, let's see, one of them also played in Low Inc. But yes, they did play in From the Ink Up last time around. And in that tournament, they did also go winless. So they will be looking to improve on their result from last time by taking this third round of the group stage. However, I do believe the rosters that are being shown look like they are still for the teams from the previous round. So hang tight as we get that corrected.
And just to get back on the topic of Mako Mart zones, because really, map I love. I have a fun little clip of me moving around on this map, and I really think that that's what a lot of this map is about. With all of the walls, it actually makes it so the path of travel is a bit of a winding road around because in order to get to the enemy spawn, to try to just push up as much as you can, which Splat Zones tends to lean towards, you do have to wind around that sort of stack. That's also important for any potential skirmishers and flankers. They have to go in and around to get up onto that platform because of no inkable walls facing towards the middle of the map. On tower, you are able to hop up onto the lookout with the tower passing by, but this is Splat Zone, so they will get no such option.
Well, I think there is actually a block that a block that has one paintable side in a bit of an exposed position.
Oh.
But if you can get up that block, that does allow you to move forward. That is something that that can be easily overlooked and especially easily defended against. But if you have a weapon that is moving fast, then who's to say what you can get done?
Indeed. And I believe shortly we're going to be going into the game, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, never mind. Seems we gotta pick the wrong map, so we will talk for a little longer as they reselect that. I was about to say, I'm talking about Mako, and I see crab leg in the top middle.
I noticed the same thing, but it does seem that
nevertheless, as you were saying, it's gone.
Yeah, no worries. I was just talking about that block. I'm pretty sure it is there on zones. I may be.
Yeah, you mentioned it, and it just got rebeamed into my mind.
Yeah, but it looks like the teams, even though they picked the wrong map, they are ready to go here. So both teams should be fully in the lobby, and it shouldn't take too much longer before we do get started on the correct map here. Before we get started on Mako Mart.
Indeed. For Mako Mart as well. Hold on, no, I have to figure this out. Mako Mart zone, my loud keyboard. Layout. I have nothing better to be doing right now. I will find this out because that block, I think. I honestly forgot about it. It's there. I'm pretty confident you're right, though.
Yeah, it's there. It's definitely there in Rainmaker and Clams.
Stop showing me Splatoon 2.
You can. It's definitely there in Rainmaker and Clams because you can get there that way. You can get the Rainmaker to that checkpoint, or you can get Clams into the basket from that direction. But I'm pretty confident it is also there in zones. And the only reason it isn't there in Tower as well is because it just would be on the Tower path. But now we are going to see if anyone does choose to do so. I noticed a Rapid Blaster Pro Deco on the side of one of these teams. I believe it is God's Greatest Gamblers that we see on the left and 21 Jellies on the right. So these are the teams as they move to the zone. Once again, with Splat Zones, you can take the zone first, but you really need to hold on to control and win that team fight. And it does look like God's Greatest Gamblers here are the team that lose the fight. It is 21 Jellies in the purple and God's Greatest Gamblers in the yellow.
Oh god, I can't start another yellow-green argument. God's Greatest Gamblers are quickly approaching. As I mentioned, they managed to either hop up that block or go all the way around to get to this sort of back line. They managed to defend the zone very well, but as that splash turned its attention away, 21 Jellies manages to get that stack back, although although every weapon's eyes are on it and there's only 15 ticks left. it does give them a chance, as half the zone is capped, and that may turn into a full zone, and it does, and a 66 penalty is immediately set onto God's greatest gamblers. And as two go down on both sides, our fight continues.
Yeah, that was a crucial moment there for God's Greatest Gamblers, who are the team in yellow, I believe. It is 21 Jellies who have control of the zone here and are looking to get through most of this penalty. There is K-Dot still coming back in with that Dread Ringer. The Reef Slider able to get the zone all in one go on here if you're running enough special power up, as K-Dot does have a main on, and they are almost all the way through that penalty. In fact, God's Greatest Gamblers have only scored a single point and gotten 2 penalty points for their efforts, and that paint from the decav of Mr. Haltman is not enough to neutralize the zone, which means 21 Jellies takes that first game fairly quickly.
Indeed. Zones can be a rough time if they manage to just take the middle of the map too hard. We saw as God's Greatest Gamblers made quite the gambit of going up past the typical stopping point into that sort of perch. And as we see here, went further. Wait, I'm mixing up team names again. 21. Hold on, no. Green is the Gamblers. Oh man, I must have mixed that up mid-match. But yeah, the 21 Jellies managed to get through and around and just really occupy that top little portion. While God's Greatest Gamblers just had their own set of tribulations set out for them to overcome it. The control that 21 Jellies put over the zone was just too much, and it ended quickly because of just how much there was, despite the 66 penalty, which is a huge thing to overcome. They still managed to pull through.
Yeah, I mean, if you can overcome that much, if you can get that many points to get the zone down to 13, you can get that many points again to knock it out. But we will soon be moving on to the second round of this set, which is going to be Clam Blitz. I'm looking at the Sendu page here. The score hasn't been reported yet, so I can't quite see what map it's going to be on.
Indeed, it has updated on my end now. It's going to be Clam Blitz on Inkblot Art Academy. Another case. Actually, no, that's Tower I'm thinking of. But still a great map. Clam Blitz Inkblot does change that uninkable ramp on the that uninkable ramp to be a fully inkable one and swaps the side that it is on. Honestly, I think Clam Blitz Inkbot is one of the biggest, overall map changes you will see in this game.
Yes, and also, shout out to the CCA for rating the channel over here on Twitch with such a big viewership. Thank you for tuning in. We are here in round 3 of the group stage of From the Ink Up. This is a low-level bi-weekly Splatoon tournament with a group stage into 3 brackets for 3 out of the 4 teams in each group. Now, here in the third round, we have God's Greatest Gamblers and 21 Jellies. Both teams are 0-2, fighting for a chance to make it into a bracket at all. God's Greatest Gamblers being a Splatoon Stronghold Beginner Academy, 21 Jellies being a team that did participate in the previous From the Ink Up, and is looking to improve on their result. And they've already taken the first step, having taken this first game win.
Indeed, that first game win could be crucial toward their path towards bronze bracket. But who's to say that God's Greatest Gamblers won't make their comeback with these upcoming modes? As Zones is quite the stationary mode, but both Clams and Tower, which will be coming up ahead, are very mobile. Clams, you have to get to that same spot over and over again, and Tower, just the actual thing you're trying to control, moves it really just changes up the game. And honestly, anybody could get at it. Even in that Zones game, there were plenty of times where God's Greatest Gamblers seemed to be making a comeback before 21 Jellies overtook them in mid yet again.
Yeah, and I am hearing that 21 Jellies is also a beginner academy team, so that does mean both of these teams did originate in the Splatoon Stronghold Beginner Academy, which is awesome to see. An organization bringing new players into competitive Splatoon, and so we will see how they go about fighting here on the classic Inkblot Clam Blitz.
Oh, I see Tint. We love to see Tint. I see Dreadringer, another great one to see in these non-zone. Like, a lot of these weapons are here. Actually, no, I am looking at God's Greatest Gamblers, and I am saying that is indeed the Clams comp that we know and love, with that brush for a quick approach, that head for sense of stability, that tint to cover the approach like we're seeing right now, and those dualies for just to help match the speed and support that brush. Although God's Greatest Gamblers seem to be making a break for the basket off the bat, but with no power clam to throw in, 21 Jellies manages to take them down and climb back up. Now they're the ones at the doorstep. They're pulling clams under the basket, and they just barely managed to get one, but they're immediately taken out. Now someone from 21 Jellies is going to have to go up there, grab that clam, and throw it in. But 3 go down in the process. The final one does actually manage to get it in before going down. So there will be a bit of time that they have to wait out before God's Greatest Gamblers can make a score, but that doesn't mean much when that time goes out, even after this lightning quick retake of mid into a potential pity grab, although they just decide to avert toward the side instead, as they try to hold the plat.
Yeah.
However, the game is overall taken back to mid.
Yeah, we have Mr. Haltman picking up regular clams. They do go down while holding 7, though, so GGG are not quite able to make that push. But there's that Reef Slider that does turn it into a 3-down situation on the side of 21 Jellies. The last player up is Crustaden using their Ultra Stamp, but they don't manage to get anything done with it. In fact, they go down. Now, GGG, they did have, for a moment, enough clams to form a power clam and open up the basket, but they don't at the moment anymore. Now they have to retreat to look for more clams. Here's Fiery Ocean running around looking for more clams to pick up. They only have 7. Now the rest of the team does have a lot of space cleared out. They're holding on to 7 now, finally managing to get that last one that they need, and that does enable God's Greatest Gamblers to open up the basket. And in fact, they also bring in the Pity Clam, getting a nice 60 points with 3 more. In fact, even more than that. Now, it's just the tent umbrella of Mr. Haltman who is left alive, choosing wisely not to try and dive in alone there with the clams that they have. Here's Pokeario managing to take out Mr. Haltman after shredding through that tent umbrella, despite not even having any object shredder. They have a Tacticooler ready to go, and they are choosing to use it right now. In fact, getting another splat as well. That edit able to do a lot of damage. Let's see if Gambit on the side of God's Greatest Gamblers can do something similar. They do have a Tacticooler about halfway charged up, but there is that Reef Slider that does take out 1 or 2 going down on the side of God's Greatest Gamblers. Gambit holding the line there as 21 Jellies maybe back up a little bit to collect clams to hold onto their plat. Maybe trying to stay alive. They do drop that Pity Clam, and now it is Pokeario who picks it up. The only special that's ready for 21 Jellies is the Crab Tank from Raccoonus, but with 2 going down, they aren't really going to be able to dive in for a push just yet.
Indeed, this crab comes up to try to prevent God's Greatest Gamblers from winning big and getting in another set of power clams, but 21 Jellies really just need that mid space back. That Crab having to be used to fend off a push instead of take mid for themselves really means that God's Greatest Gamblers are having a massive impact in mid. They try to pass off the Clam to start a push, but that hammer from 21 Jellies, 3 go down, a 4th goes down with that double hammer there. 21 Jellies rushes forward, Clam in the basket, but now the question is, are they going to have enough clams to surpass the record set by God's Greatest Gamblers? 3 go down on their side, 3 go down on 21 Jellies. It's really a close fight, but God's Greatest Gamblers does manage to shake off 21 Jellies before they manage to get that score all the way down with only 30 seconds left on the clock. 21 Jellies is going to need to get another power clam and fast, and also fend off this potential pity clam push from God's Greatest Gamblers.
Yeah, and especially with that wiper on the side of 21 Jellies going down, after holding all of the team's 6 clams, that doesn't enable very much for 21 Jellies, and now 3 down again, only a few seconds left. They don't have very much time left to make a power clam. They already used their pity clam, AAA battery, going for another pick, not getting it, but not needing to. There is no overtime for 21 Jellies, and this set is evened up at 1 apiece.
1 apiece yet again, meaning that despite going to the third, like even though we always go to the third game, this third game yet again does matter for the victory of the set. This game right here that we're about to bring into will determine who gets to bronze bracket and who just goes home. Honestly, an incredible game there. They were constantly at each other's doorsteps. That early clam into the basket made it look like it may be beneficial for 21 Jellies, but they couldn't just. But the even stronger comeback from God's Greatest Gamblers that stood as the cemented record for the rest of the match just completely won them that game. As we go into the third map, I believe Ship Shape Cargo Tower Control.
Yeah, this is another one that honestly has been kind of become a classic since Shipshape was introduced. One thing I will say, now that both teams are 1-1, they went into this set with going 0-3 against both the other teams in their group, and so neither team will go home winless, and I think that is good solace to take from this. It always really feels disappointing to go home from a tournament having no wins at all, but having at least taken a game here in this set, both of these teams, whichever one does end up not making it any further, will still have at least one game win under their belt. But of course, both teams will be trying to take another win here, and one team is guaranteed to do it and move on to the bronze bracket.
Indeed, and with this mode set as tower control, we saw a very dominant push from one team in one, a great comeback from the other team in the other, but Clamblitz is all too mobile, with the objective just being all over the place, being that clam that these players carry around, and zones being the stable objective that you can stay on. Tower can tend to be a mix of both, as it does have the stability of being able to physically stand on it, and that path that goes back and forth, but also it's nowhere near as sitting still as zones, as there is constantly movement from pushing forward that tower. It will be interesting to see who does what and who wins. I am excited to see Hedits on this map, because we do see a lot of Hedits in these previous games, and Hedit can excel on this map. There's not very backline friendly geometry unless you're at the far, like either at spawns or at mid, the kind of in-between areas to struggle. But the Hedits don't really care. They can use that backline geometry, and on top of that, they are also able to just continue moving forward with the team due to their midline anchor nature.
Yeah, that is very true. And I will say, what I think is something very important here on Shipshape Tower is that first checkpoint. Unlike a lot of other tower control maps, Shipshape only has 2 checkpoints instead of 3. So the checkpoints are
relatively more important, especially the first one. It goes through a lot of points on its own, and once it's done, it very quickly gets the tower from the end of the first checkpoint through that court area to the second checkpoint. And by the time it gets there, the score is already down below 30 points remaining. So if you can get through that first checkpoint, you are on for a formidable score here. And if you can defend and prevent the other team from getting through that checkpoint, that does leave you a lot safer in what you can do to win this game here. But we will be getting right into it as these teams spawn in.
We do see Decav, we see Brush, Decav, stuff like that. On one side with that head I was talking about, and that Julie's, and then on the other that another head with a splash V shot instead of those more skirmishy types, really favoring those head-on approaches that we saw so much of last round. 3 go down immediately for 21 Jellies as God's Greatest Gamblers instantly try to clear this path forward for the tower. They take the tower and they begin to ride it, and just this absolute gap between where they're letting 21 Jellies roam and where the tower is able to roam can only be closed by this crab that they're popping out here. Although this Inkjet and Reef Slider threaten to take it down, and they do. The Inkjet gets right out of there, or someone gets right out of there, as God's Greatest Gamblers, although 21 Jellies is closer, do remain mostly in control of the tower. Although I speak too soon as they go into a wipeout. 21 Jellies now in the situation that God's Greatest Gamblers were at the start of the game as they begin their push.
Yeah, with 21 Jellies bringing the tower to this checkpoint, they are in a pretty stable spot. Pokeario still staying on it and getting 21 Jellies the lead. The tower already all the way through that checkpoint and already moving to the next one. But that's a delayed wipe. That is all 4 players on 21 Jellies going down, even if they had Tacticooler to bring them back. God's Greatest Gamblers now do have control of the tower and managed to stop that push at the 49 remaining mark, which, despite losing that first checkpoint, is a fairly good position for them, relatively speaking, if they're able to keep this momentum up. Though the Killer Whale gets all 2 more! That's a triple for Fiery Ocean, and now God's Greatest Gamblers easily coast through that checkpoint, and it is free roaming for their front line up ahead. They've taken the lead back here, and the tower is well on its way to that second and final checkpoint.
Indeed, but at the second checkpoint is one of the hardest challenges of this map. This specific ledge that the defenders can kind of like really get on top of and just like shoot at you from. And the tower makes sure to go out of it, like the tower path curves right towards it to give the defenders that opportunity to shut down the push, and that is what we saw from 21 Jellies. Although God's Greatest Gamblers decided, if our issue is people on that ledge, why don't we just get rid of the people? As they get into another wipeout, this Decav takes an unignorable position on this far left as the Reef Slider clears out the middle. Now that all that's left is this ledge we saw before. The Rush thinks about going in to clear it, but gets scared off by the Zuka. That crab is already back up here, taking control of that ledge yet once again and causing a wipeout as 21 Jellies regain the tower.
I will say, wipeout notwithstanding, you do need to be on the tower to move it, as I saw on the first push from God's Greatest Gamblers, as well as the second one. The tower push kind of stopped when everyone got off of it and no one was continuing to ride it. It's kind of simple when you put it that way, but in the heat of the moment, it can be easy to forget, easy to lose track of who is doing what and whether or not you have someone actually pushing the objective and scoring points. There's that Reef Slider getting 1 for AAA Battery. They get an assist as they go down, but a third player down on 21 Jellies means that Pokeario has to get those 2 picks alone, even while the Tacticooler is going up for God's Greatest Gamblers. I don't know if they managed to get it. But now 21 Jellies holding strong, preventing God's Greatest Gamblers from moving the tower very much, and in fact preventing them from increasing their lead. Pokeario valiantly getting a
few more picks before going down to that charcoal decavitator equipped with the inkjet and splash wall. But now it's Fiery Ocean with the special ready to go, using that killer whale to get 21 Jellies players out of the way, looking for something onto that edit, managing to take them out after being weakened from that whale. There's Crustaden using that hammer, trying to get one, does manage to take out Mr. Haltman's decav, throwing away that hammer, looking to get maybe someone with it, doesn't manage to do so, but 21 Jellies trying to clear some space here as they make their potentially last push here. 20 seconds left for them to survive in this tournament.
20 seconds left, but you see the brush approaching, trying to get behind the tower. They go down. You see this head that we've seen just so many go down to, but even that goes down, and nobody's up at that ledge I was mentioning. However, this inkjet may be more than enough. A crazy scramble for tower. So many people all over it. They're all jumping on. They're all trying to kill everyone else, but 21 Jellies do manage to take the lead on that checkpoint, fend off the others, and win this final game for this set.
Wow, what an ending to the group stage that we have here. 21 Jellies making that overtime comeback once again. Now, in this last push that we have here, I think God's Greatest Gamblers might have gotten a little bit overconfident. They knew they had the lead. All they had to do was hold on to it, but no one was taking that top left position to defend from. They were a little out of place using that inkjet to try and defend. They got taken out, I think it might have been by that Zuka or by whoever was riding the tower. They had the jumps in. No one even took that top left spot to rain down paint from above, and by giving up that stronger position, I think that's really what did it for God's Greatest Gamblers in their attempt to hold onto their lead there.
Indeed. That scramble at the end as well, with just everyone just trying to stand on the tower. At those very last second moments, it's very easy to just try to get on the tower and beat everyone else on it. However, if even one enemy player remains, the game treats it as a state of neutrality and just does not let it budge, doesn't let overtime in, doesn't let it budge. And that is exactly what gave 21 Jellies what they needed to continue on to this tournament and send God's Greatest Gamblers home.
Yeah, and that will conclude the group stage here, but don't go anywhere. We will be bringing you the bracket shortly. Coming up next here from us, so we are going to be seeing the teams, each of the teams who finished first in their group. Yep. So we'll be seeing the teams who finished first in their group, taking out all the other teams in their way on their way to the gold bracket, but that will be after a short break.
Hello and welcome back after that short break for us going into our gold bracket. Before us, we are going to see the people that did not drop their group's games, the top cut of our tournament here, and that is going to start off with Rainfall versus Double Bubble.
Yeah, we have these two teams both going 3-0 in matches in their groups. Rainfall only dropping a single game in a 2-1 win. And let me just check who the other team is. Yes, Double Bubble. They dropped 2 games in 2 2-1 wins. So they had a slightly closer group stage, but these two teams will be fighting to continue on in the bracket here, and a chance to take home the overall victory in From the Ink Up. And of course, as this is a skill-capped low-level tournament, the team that wins will essentially graduate from it and be asked not to participate the next time around.
And because we're now in the bracket, we're going to be seeing less and less of the playoff 3. If one team wins 2 games, that is it. The set is over and that team advances. And for our first map mode of our set, we're going to be seeing Robo Ramen Zones. A very beloved map as it came out, hailed as, oh my goodness, we got a good zones map. We got a map we can add.
Oh my goodness, we got a flank route.
we have a map that we can add to the map pool with a good conscience, and it's stuck around properly. I enjoy it. I don't really play a flank heavy weapon, but I do love being able to sit on that kind of top bridge and throw my little splat bombs. How do you feel about this, Winoku?
Well, when I'm playing with friends or teammates in open or competitive, sometimes my teammates will hear me say, I want a flank. And so I like being able to do that on here. I like playing weapons like, say, Sultana Wiper that will benefit from getting into positions that the other team is not aware of. And so I enjoy being able to do that, and of course having paintable walls around so much of mid, being able to surge up onto the area where the zone is from any which direction. Being able to account for that is important here, being able to know where your opponents are coming from, and if you're able to advance and lock them out. This is another map where the lockout can be pretty intense, especially since the main flank route to the zone in such a situation is very easy to watch from mid. It's a challenge to get back here to the zone if you're locked out, but we can see some pretty intense fights happening, intense back and forth games.
Indeed, as you were mentioning, the flank route might be there, but it is difficult. As if you kind of just push up just past zone, you'll see an upward slope that if you control the platform on top of that upward slope, you kind of just have control of the zone. You will definitely be able to see people who drop out of spawn and go to the far right to try to loop back around. And you'll be able to catch them. People who take the even longer route and go entirely under the stage to appear behind your team will hopefully be noticed, although some people slip by and cause huge upsets. Yet, if you just stay up top there, they are just going to, they need to deal with you. Because if they don't deal with you, and if you focus a little too hard on that flank, they can just, and they can knock you down, and then they can push forward a little more. And then it just becomes alright, well, and I'm sitting in spawn scenario.
Yeah, now, Rainfall is a team that has been to the gold bracket in FTIU before. They are looking to match their best result here. Double Bubble as well. They have made gold bracket as well. They have won bronze bracket in addition. And so both of these teams have been to gold bracket before and will be looking to improve on their best result. Unfortunately, one of them is going to have to go home after this set because these are single elimination brackets, and let's see what weapons these players bring.
We do see. I thought I was about to call it a head on the left side, but that is in fact a normal heavy splatling from Rainfall. I don't feel like we see that very often, with a zap being chosen as the cooler option instead. Although clearly it works well enough for them as they have that sort of instant cap. The V card begins to climb the wall but gets shot down. The Reef Slider tumbles forward but is quickly painted over. Rainfall seems to have a comp very suited to just shutting down opponent pushes. But that can't solve two people going down and just being pushed back on yourself. They do manage to get the points to 72, but Double Bubble's points are quickly ticking down as well. You will see the sprinkler on the underside of the Ramen Bowl. I was about to call it Ink Storm, but then I went and said nothing here as Ink Storm. You will see that sprinkler up there. It does eventually fade away. Double Bubble takes that lead, 2 down on both though, and Rainfall retakes the zone, adds a 30-point penalty to Double Bubble's score, and begins to push forward here. As we have our even fight in mid.
Yeah, this is one heck of a battle out here. Neither team really even winning, I would say, that initial skirmish. I would honestly say it's still ongoing, as neither team has taken any strong advantage, and the zone has just been flipping back and forth fairly evenly. But Inoki coming out here and only managing to get a trade with that Reef Slider. There is Amigo holding that Trizuka, but not getting any picks with it. Rainfall have the zone once again. They've gone through their penalty, but now they get a new one from Double Bubble as Rainfall do almost get the lead, but not quite. The zone gets neutralized once again. There is that Reef Slider coming out from Genma, but doesn't actually get any picks. But now with 2 down on the side of Rainfall, Double Bubble have a chance to extend their lead.
Indeed, Double Bubble managed to get past that choke that I mentioned before. Once you get past here, you can kind of just completely regulate your enemy team, especially now they have Tactical Cooler. They'll be able to simply just jump back afterwards. We do see Rainfall trying to challenge it from the high ground. The C-Shot tries to break out to the right, but is unfortunately shut down. Why did I call the C-Shot? This Carvin is here to make sure that Rainfall can't escape spawn, but they are taken down. One Rainfall member does slip past and Reef Sliders the zone. 3 go down on the side of Double Bubble, which does allow Rainfall to have complete control of the zone. They're just cleaning up what is left of Double Bubble's push. Even though they managed to get all the way to 2, 2 is not 0, and that 67 penalty will be quite the mountain if they can snatch it back from Rainfall's grasp.
Yeah, but with one player coming in from the side and another coming in from the front with Reef Slider, Double Bubble managed to neutralize the zone long enough to give Rainfall a bit more penalty and buy Double Bubble a little more time. There's those tri-strikes coming out from their Tenatech splatter shot in the hands of Muck, but that once again only neutralizes the zone as Rainfall, once again it doesn't give them the total control, but Rainfall do get it back, and they are almost all the way through their penalty once again. They don't have a sprinkler up in position to put more paint on the zone, at least. It is up on the ball, but a little bit facing the wrong direction, and I think it got taken out by a tri-strike. But with that Carbon Roller going down, 2 down on both teams, there's once again another intense fight over the zone. Muck tossing out a bomb there as the zone gets captured by Rainfall. Drumar putting down a cooler here as more bombs come in, and Rainfall, even though they lost points, even though they gave up points and Double Bubble got down to 2 remaining, we're in the final minute now, but Rainfall has steadily been chipping into that lead.
Indeed, Rainfall is steadily chipping into that lead. Double Bubble still with 65 of their previous 67 points to work through. Rainfall is at threat of losing the zone to Double Bubble here, but they do not, and they continue to tick down their score into the 20s. 3 go down on Double Bubble. It may be a solid game for Rainfall. As that T-Tech jumps out, they're going to have to do something crazy in these 8 ticks, but as one goes down, they're going to have to use this special, and it's going to have to work. But unfortunately, those strikes are not quite enough to even neutralize the zone. And Rainfall's complete paint and just painting over the strikes can definitely be painted over, manages to keep their timer ticking down and not give Double Bubble the chance to cement their victory.
Yeah, it's one thing to be able to hold the zone, it is another to actually retake it, because despite scoring 98 points, Double Bubble needed just to be able to win enough of a fight. Let's say one fight to take the zone back and one fight to hold it. And they just didn't manage to do so. Rainfall able to stay in control and keep a hold of the zone, especially that crucial moment when they had about like 27, 28 points left. And there was a very real chance that Double Bubble could have switched it and given them more penalty points, but they did not, and that essentially sealed the game for Rainfall, because Rainfall got 3 down again, forced Muck to jump out, and got the pick on Amigo when they jumped in.
Indeed, and as we're going to see coming up here, we have Scorch Gorge Rainmaker, our first time seeing Scorch Gorge tonight. Scorch Gorge Rainmaker is known for its very, yet again, it's one of those maps where there are technically 2 options, but one of them is much more favored than the other, that being the one where you go all the way to the right, fully painted slope and everything. But we might see a repeat of what happened on that humpback game earlier, and see the great path being taken. Although I am noticing a little bit of something missing.
I see
one of
something
the
missing
teams.
here.
And instantly done carbon roller.
Yeah, it looks. I think that's just what happens when someone disconnects while the weapon select is going on. Might have been too late to back out and let them rejoin, but once everyone readied up, that just gives them enough time to. Well, it just speeds up the process. So they will be getting their 4th back into the room. I believe that was on. I don't recall which team it was that had the player missing, but Double Bubble does have a 5th if they need it. Rainfall has just the 4 players from their roster, so it looks like. I can see at the top of the screen that they do have both 4 players on each team in the room, so we should be getting into the next game pretty soon.
Indeed. I did see the carbon roller on that. I honestly, I only realized the carbon roller was there because of the instant fall off the side. But I do love to see the carbon roller there because of its just extreme poking power on the ledges of this map. Being able to just get up under that ledge where most can't see you and throw ink that they just kind of can't stop and have to respect is a powerful tool on this map, and I'm excited to see if they choose to use it.
Yeah, not just ink, burst bombs as well, and threatening to get a Trizuka that can do even more damage with just a few steps back.
Indeed. And it looks like we're getting back into our game with full rosters on both sides this time. As we see that V Heavy again, a very interesting choice. I don't see it very often, but I'm absolutely here for it. Not very similar to the last round, but we do see the V Heavy, we do see the V Shot, we do see the Slosher, we do see the Zap as our cooler option yet again. I am interested in that In Splash on the side of Double Bubble. A very high output strikes weapon. As you can see here, immediately they're already throwing them out. although Rainfall does manage to get the Rainmaker off of this opening fight, take one down with it, go after this Charger. The Charger goes down. They're already scaling this mountain, but the Reef Slider and Suction Bombs keep them at bay. They take down the Reef Slider player out of the invincibility. One tries to sneak up behind them, succeeds, goes down for it, but does manage to take down the Rainmaker with them. Rainfall does repop the Rain. The Carbon dies trying to protect it, but they are being pushed a little far away from it by the returning force of Double Bubble.
Yeah, when I see Double Bubble having Drumar switched from Edit to Pencil and Muck switched from T-Tech to Neo Splash, I'm trying to maybe read their minds into here, read a little into their thought process, and what I am thinking is that they might have thought that they didn't have enough paint. I think they didn't think they were putting down enough ink. They didn't have enough to swim around in, and switching to those two weapons appears to be working well for them right now, as they do enable Amigo to get more picks, and in fact the team gets a full wipeout onto Rainfall, and having more paint from the Pencil and the Splash especially will give Amigo room to work in, and Amigo running across those grates, not quite able to get anything out of it. We saw them taking that alternative path. I can see what they were going for, trying to use that flank to enable Double Bubble to take the lead here, but in fact they managed to do so without it. But going 3 down in the process, it is only Drumar left alive, jumping out of there to hold onto that cooler charge. But now Demon Days on the side of Rainfall does get a pick with that Zuka, and even though they go down, it enables Rainfall to get through that checkpoint and take the lead here. Genma out here with a Reef Slider, managing to get one. Those strikes coming in alongside right after it. I believe it was the strikes that took out the jump in from Demon Days on the shot. Now there's a clean pick onto Inoki from Drumar, who tosses out that Tacticooler. Much of the team gets it. The Rainmaker looks like it is going to reset. No one on Rainfall in there, sneaking in behind Double Bubble, and so now it is back to a relatively neutral state here. Both teams fighting in mid. It looks like there was a flank, maybe Genma sneaking in there behind and forcing Rainfall to turn around. That cleared up some space from Double Bubble, but they weren't really in position to take it. Amigo backing out of a push there. Muck caught out on the right side in a fight that another player on Rainfall was able to come in and support on. But now with 2 down again onto Double Bubble, this is a chance for Rainfall to move forward and extend their lead. It looks like Catboy is the one picking up the Rainmaker. Despite being the backline, they are not the provider of Tacticoolers, so it is only a wave breaker that they wouldn't have access to unless Catboy does go down, and that is what happens as Double Bubble get the splat onto the Rainmaker.
Indeed, the parry cannot stop the full car that is the Reef Slider, but bombs manage to do their work the other way around as well. As this Carbon on Double Bubble is forced into a corner. They're looking for a sneaky pick to tilt the scales in their favor as we enter the last minute of the game, but Rainfall gets the pop again, despite Double Bubble getting the position on top. They swim into the very well-placed Suction Bomb, but it doesn't matter as this Dreadbringer is paving space forward. They go down, but it gave them plenty of time to approach with the splash. They're making sure this area ahead of them is absolutely clear before they walk into it, and absolutely it is with this wipe out. They are going to need to take this Rainmaker 1 tick past in order to break that lead, and they only have 20 seconds left to do so. It's actually looking very bad for them as the Zap grabs the Rainmaker, denying the team of Cooler, but possibly winning them the game as they sit very safely in their little corner, even with the Don't Retreat counter making that those ticks go down 2 to 3 times as fast. It's not enough as time runs out for the game.
That
Rainfall takes the set 2-0.
That was an incredibly clutch save from Rainfall. I was kind of surprised there. They got wiped out, and that checkpoint in the way forced Double Bubble to have to pop it again, but then Rainfall had a Zuka ready to go. Yeah, there was that wipeout. Then it took a moment for Double Bubble to get the tower. 30 seconds left. It looks like Demon Days was able to get that Zuka as they were coming back out of spawn, and a perfectly placed and timed shot got the pick onto the player, diving for the Rainmaker as soon as they picked it up and not letting them move an inch forward. It kept the timer, it kept the countdown at maybe just 68 remaining, 69 or 68 remaining, and not taking the lead meant that Double Bubble had just lost their last chance to do so.
But with that, I believe we're going to do a slight break with a switching of the comms, if I'm right about what time it is. Where I will be switching out, but I believe Squidoku here will be staying in for the full From the Ink Up Gauntlet.
Yep, you're stuck with me, audience. But now, AC, where can the good folks in the audience find you?
The good folks in the audience here can find me at That AC Kid on every normal platform, and That ACNH Kid on Twitter. And yeah, no, I know you're not leaving quite yet, but same to you. Where can they find you?
Well, yeah, I'm Squidoku on Blue Sky, but we'll get more into that later. Thank you again for joining me for the first half of this tournament, and to those of you in the audience, definitely do not go anywhere. We will be bringing you more excellent low-level action here in the gold bracket of From the Ink Up. Alright, that was a pretty short break. We are coming right back at you. Once again, I am Squidoku, here to bring you the gold bracket of From the Ink Up number 72. But now, alongside me, we have...
It's me, Nate the Great of the Whip Race. Hello, everybody.
Hello. You will be joining me for the rest of this gold bracket, and we will be continuing where we left off in the second round. Map 1 here will be Splat Zones on Mahi Mahi between the two teams in this set being RIT, Orange Kois, and Starboard.
Yeah, that's right, and we're getting right into this first match. Looking at this map mode, Splat Zones on Mahi, seeing two Dread Rainers, probably both looking for that zones cheese action with the Reef Slider. This zone is pretty small, and there's a lot of safe places to approach it with the Reef Slider. We're seeing these members of the Decavitator kind of moving up on that left side, pushing in a little bit. The Cooler coming out, though, maybe giving them a bit of a chance, but this Reef Slider in there is going to find two. It's just the zap left, and that's an opening triple for Rye here on that Dread Rainer. What an opening.
Yeah, I did want to point out the Bamboozler Mark II on the side of RIT Orange Kois. They haven't been able to get much done yet, though, as
even though the initial fight can sometimes go either which way, and the team that gets the zone first might not actually win that fight. In this case, they very clearly did, with Starboard getting all the way down to 56 remaining, past the 60-point mark, where the water level drops and the map opens up. So we're only easily in the first minute here, and the map is already gotten to its second stage. Right here, you're looking for another bit of magic there, but neutral OP on the side of HT Orange Kois with their own their own Dread Ringer uses that Reef Slider to get the clean splat and move up towards that plat until they go down to a Suction Bomb. Here's Gray on the Crab, looking to put some paint on the zone and retake the lead.
Yeah, they do manage to get that flip there, but 3 more going down. Starboard having a lot of trouble keeping themselves out of the stagger. That's going to be another wipeout, and that's going to give Orange Kois now a chance to maybe try to get up on their plat. Good splat use of the suction bombs, though, to keep them down off there. But if you're Starboard here, your goal is to make sure that all 4 of you are up on this retake, and you've got some specials in your pocket to make it a bit easier. We are seeing a bit of pressure coming down on this right side this time. Last time opting to drop on the left side of the map, but one going down early. The bubble doesn't come out. Reslider does manage to cap the zone, but goes down immediately. That'll buy them some time, but that's not going to do it if they want to flip this and take the lead.
Yeah, that was a Reslider with a main of Special Charge Up, able to capture the whole zone in the perfect position there. But here's this Reslider going into the bubble. It's just a teammate who gets the pick onto the Decavitator, but Neutral OP still out here with that Ringer, getting another assist, looking for another pick and managing it as RIT Orange Kois continue to hold the zone, get through all of the penalty points they were given, and extend their lead. 2 going down here on the side of Starboard. They are looking for a third, and even though they lose control for just a moment, that bubble doesn't save the decav, and they are down to the single digits on the side of Orange Kois. There's another Reef Slider. They want to neutralize it, and they do stop it at 2 points remaining.
Yeah, just barely managing to hold off that KO there. But again, Orange Kois doing a great job of thwarting these retakes here. This decav finding themselves locked into this corner and is going to get taken out. That's not going to be what you want to see on this retake. They do have 3 specials online, though. Crab's coming out immediately, looking for some people to give them in the way in. They do manage to punish that Reef Slider and send a few more in, force the strikes that are really good going behind the team, forcing them into some awkward fights here, but they do manage to get a few key picks here, and Starboard now walking their way into mid, but not in enough time, not able to focus on the zone, and that's going to give Orange Kois the KO for game 1.
Yeah, after that initial Reef Slider coming out from Rai, they were able to continue to use it to neutralize and capture the zone, preventing the Orange Kois, who have the matching banners here, which I am very much a fan of. They neutralized the zone, Starboard, but just giving more penalty points, but not actually holding that space in mid and not actually winning enough fights to move forward and defend the zone. Just being able to cheese it with Slider is not going to be enough, as we saw here.
Yeah, it seems like Orange Kois always had an answer for what Starboard had planned, right? We saw them kind of choosing to drop on this left side and send a few people, but Orange Kois was set up with specials of their own. They had really good use of their chumps, actually, putting them right where it seemed like the fight was about to happen, kind of winning the retake with some really strong reads on kind of the plans of Starboard there, managing to give them quite the leg up in those key fights there.
Yeah, and now we will be moving on to Game 2. Tower control on Inkblot Art Academy. We've seen this earlier tonight with Clam Blitz, but the tower control is a little bit different. That big inviting paintable ramp is replaced with a small block that can still be used as a flank route against an unsuspecting team.
Yeah, that's right. If you're working on this map in particular, you definitely want to make good use of those side routes. It is extremely important. This is a rather kind of wide map. There's a lot of ways to get around mid and almost completely bypass it if you're quick enough and kind of sly enough. So I'd like to see either team make good use of those kind of alternative routes. We don't just want to run it straight up the ramp where the tower is going. Try to leverage those positional advantages and give yourself a leg up in those fights.
Yeah, especially when the tower is at that first checkpoint. You can flank one way on the attacking team up that block that goes up to the plat, or you can take the rail up to the battlements, the bats of the defending team, and cause some havoc up there. Of course, there is another ramp leading from the plat up to those bats that makes it a little easier to access, but we are going to see a change there. Neutral OP switching to the S-Blast, and now a Wiper coming out from Shades on the side of Starboard.
Yeah, Orange Toys, true to their name in the orange here, switching off to that blaster, a good mode pick, getting that AoE to hit around the tower. It makes it a lot easier to kind of defend and stall that objective. And also with the S-Blast, giving them kind of a GG special, a way to cancel the objective at the end. 2 going down on Starboard, that's going to give them a good way in. We see they're already up on their plat, getting more picks. It's just the T-Tech left, the Octo Shot, with the strikes forced to hold up into bats. The bucket here going in and jumping out with the cooler safely. This Bamboo pushed up way far and gets a really good trade. That's going to give Orange Toys a really strong push in the opening here. Strikes coming out there at a good time, stalling the tower on this choke point, making it really difficult to walk in and give Starboard a way to kind of stall out this objective for just a little bit longer, and they have a shot here to hold off this push.
Yeah, there is Bumblebee on the pencil instead of the edit for this game, putting out that Tacticooler for Starboard. Both teams using a Tacticooler in here. Shades bringing out that Ultra Stamp, looking for a pick from underneath, camping that ledge very well, as a Wiper can do. Now Gray has that crab up on the stack there, but the Tri-Strikes coming out from Never Lucky out here, stopping the tower at the checkpoint, but the strikes are over so fast, and now Starboard have the chance to hold onto that tower. They do manage to get it past the checkpoint. They can't quite move it any further though, so RIT Orange Toys do hold on to the lead, but it's still a pretty intense fight here in mid. Kibri House using that thermal ink to get a location on the players of Starboard who they have damaged, but Shades with that Ultra Stamp getting to, looking for a third, not able to get a third, but now extending their damage over there and helping to shred that Booyah armor.
Yeah, let's keep the streak up, Shades. How about it? That's going to be 2 triples in just like the past minute, I think. And these strikes coming up, Shades is just going to dive in here with that Wiper and hopefully looking for a few more. Cooler comes out, but the whole team is forced to drop into this mid ground into a fight. They do have the Booyah to maybe hold things off, but this is pretty rough if you're Orange Toys here. You've got to try to find your footing and quickly.
Yeah, however, I noticed Starboard, they had Bumblebee drop back off the tower, maybe not getting quite as many points as they could have. They did take the lead though, and that is what they want to have by the time the game is over. But of course, it is only halfway over at this point, and there's plenty of time for RIT Orange Toys to retake it, especially since they have gone through that first checkpoint, and there is less in the way before making it to the second one. One goes down on the side of Starboard, 2 go down, and this could be a chance for the Orange Toys to come back. Lucky dropping back to try and help deal with that flanking Wiper, but Shades pulling out the hammer once again, throwing the hammer at the tower. It doesn't get anyone, and the lead goes back into the favor of RIT Orange Toys.
Yeah, we're seeing, just as we said, those side routes coming in clutch for both teams. Not going to win that fight, though, as this Blaster is going to get the one shot. Doesn't quite manage to trade Gray here on the dualies before falling off the map. Unfortunate there, but we're seeing both teams making good use of those side routes, and it's been paying off on these retakes. Neither team able to break through these, after this first checkpoint, and having a lot of trouble kind of getting through this mid choke point. It really does on this map come down to breaking through this big wall and this big ramp here and trying to get a foothold, and then the points will tick down very quickly. But a big scrum here, as almost everybody on the entire match is here on this left stat trying to fight for this crucial position. There's going to be 2 down on Orange Toys, but they're going to be able to stall the tower out and maybe pull a bit of attention. The Zap doing a really good job pushing the tower ahead and then backing up to a safe place, holding this cooler for their team and getting a pick on Shades here, doing some really good work. Retrograde gonna send their team in with some juice to make the fight a little bit easier, and they should be looking pretty good here. This is a great team fight, getting some of these off angles here, and even though Shades is off here in the left side, RT Orange holding on to the lead with only 40 seconds left.
Yeah, Shades has that hammer ready to go, and looks like they might be itching to pop it as Never Lucky drops down onto the left. Lucky has strikes available and appears to have jumped out or retreated in one way or another, but is caught between a hammer and a strike. They go down and lose their strikes with it. Starboard have dropped off the tower, but now they are picking it up once again. Ray is crabbing here, putting down a lot of damage and maybe not letting RIT get close. They have gotten to the checkpoint, and that means they've taken the lead here with 10 seconds to go. 3 down on the side of RIT, and now Starboard already going through that second checkpoint and coasting along the tower to the end of this game.
Yeah, what a clutch comeback by Starboard there. They managed to find the picks they needed at the right time and were in that position, really leveraged a lot of their resources on that left side of the map to kind of force that attention from RIT Orange Toys, and were able to win the fights they needed at the last second and just barely eke out that victory.
Yeah, I think the key there, it really started just before this moment where Lucky on the side of RIT had those strikes ready to go, but went down to the combination of strikes and hammer from Starboard, and that really meant RIT were caught unawares. They were caught without any specials to contest the tower, and especially with that crab tank coming out, able to do so much damage, especially with additional players up to support all of that that paint, that displacement, everything that Starboard were using to give themselves space to push the tower into the lead.
Yeah, that said, this is match point for both of these teams in a single elimination bracket. So whoever wins this next round is going to punch their ticket into the, I believe, the semifinal round. This is kind of do or die at this point for these teams. They have to get this win if they want a chance at the gold medal for this tournament.
Yeah, this is literally win or go home here as we get to the match point tiebreaker. Third game in the best of 3 here in Rainmaker on Museum d'Alfonsino.
Yeah, thinking about this map, I would be surprised to see too many changes on either side. They both seem to have pretty strong comps for these kind of wider maps that need a little bit of range pressure. Both teams pretty well balanced comps that can handle this kind of a map. Rainmaker, though, going to be a very, very interesting game 3. This mode can go, can be very swingy and can go both uphill and downhill in a hurry. Going to be interesting to see how the teams manage to kind of, you know, keep those nerves calm, take the opportunities that you need, and hold on to try to clutch out this set.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. There's that Dread Ringer coming out from neutral OP once again. And on the side of Starboard, we have a slightly different comp, swapping out the 10 attack splatter shot for a splatter shot on the side of Starboard.
Yeah, Zuka being really strong on this map with all of the kind of elevated ground that you can shoot over and the long kind of narrow hallways without much cover. Never Lucky diving in here, trying to get a pit, does manage to trade here, but that's 2 down on Orange Toys. But getting that key pick on the pen means that the cooler did not come out for Starboard, and while this crab is out doing some pretty good effects, Starboard managing to run up on the plat and get a key pick on the bucket here. The Dread also going down, and that's going to give the Rainmaker a pretty good shot. This is a great whale, very well timed, but with this hammer coming in, that's a huge stagger, maybe trying to find another one, and does get it. It's just going to be the Dread in this duel with the Wiper, and the Rainmaker is already ticking away, running towards the goal as quickly as possible. The Reslider comes out to cancel that, but that is a push all the way to 14, and on this map, that is a massive push, and there's still more as Reed managed to sneak in and pick it up and push it down to 5. This is going to be such an uphill battle for Orange Toys if they want a chance to take the lead here.
Yeah, they have like 3 minutes and change. It's barely been 1 minute and a quarter into this game, and Starboard have already pushed the Rainmaker to the 5-point remaining mark, and they have tools at their disposal to defend. They've got a crab tank, they've got a splatter shot with suction bomb and Trizuka. But neutral OP here
trying to work on the very start of this comeback in this game. Bumblebee out in mid in a strong position, holding onto the Rainmaker. As the one to pick up the Rainmaker is not going to have access to their special weapon. They just want to stall it. They look like they might be trying to put it in the funny spot on top of that unpaintable block, but with Neverlucky down there to splat them, they didn't manage to do it. And now the Rainmaker is still in a spot that would be tough for RIT Orange Kois to take. Kibri House out here getting taken out by Starboard. Now Shades with the hammer, tossing it after clearing out the space that they wanted. And now Starboard have the Rainmaker once again, and they will want to move it forward, maybe stall it, maybe keep it going, keep it in their favor. Bumblebee once again as the provider of tacticalers. The fact that they're holding the Rainmaker means that they won't be able to give them, but they are still able to get a splat with the Rainmaker, and Starboard looking to, in fact, maybe even potentially knock out here. There's only one left, and they're a little out of position, but they still, with the surprising range of that Slosher, managed to get the Rainmaker taken out, and there's still a full wipeout here onto Starboard. So RIT Orange Kois have another chance here, but it is still going to be very difficult for them once again.
Yeah, Starboard opting, rather than choosing to play the long game and stall this out, just wanting to go for the kill shot, is unable to do that, and having that wipeout does give Orange Kois maybe a chance to kind of reset back into neutral. That said, one more going down. If you're Orange Kois, when you've got this big mountain ahead of you, it is so crucial to manage the mental game, right? It can be very easy to get panicky in such a high stakes situation like this. And to start, you have to take much safer plays than the opponent. They can just dive at you and try to stall as much of your time as possible, but you really just have to play as clean as you can. We see Rai here, just running in and pulling their attention, trying to stall and distract them and make it that much harder for Orange Kois to kind of regroup and make a play happening. We're seeing members get picked off one at a time, getting separated. Starboard doing a really good job of just trying to waste as much time as possible. They have the lead that they need. They're going to grab the Rainmaker, and now it's going to be even harder for Orange Kois to try to come back here. With 1 minute left, they have to pull off quite the push to retake this lead.
Yeah, they will. Bumblebee once again holding the Rainmaker. It seems like that is what they have practiced, likely, as if they have consistently one person who's holding the Rainmaker, they don't need to worry about deciding who's going to take it. Now, RIT Orange Kois, they will be looking to find any way they can get to take this game, to win enough of a fight to not just get the win. First they have to make it all the way to the checkpoint, and they have not really gotten close to that. There's only like 20 seconds left here. They're picking up the Rainmaker. That is Kibri House who has it. They're not losing a Tacticooler for it. They're losing their Charger still, the longest range, or close to the longest range weapon on their team. Neutral taking out that hammer before it can do anything, trying to get the one who's diving to the Rainmaker, but Gray, with those dually dodge rolls, makes it in and seals the deal for Starboard to move on.
Man, that was a really, really close ending there. We almost saw the members of Starboard wipe out in the last second, and that is a recipe for disaster, but just barely managing to sneak in and get that key pick on the Rainmaker to end that overtime for RIT Orange Kois. They're going to take the win for this set and move on to semifinals in a pretty close set. Well played by both sides, all things considered.
Yeah, RIT Orange Kois, they will not have a chance to take this tournament here. They are out, and Starboard are moving on.
Yeah, we saw some really, really good plays on the side of Starboard. I thought that, the defense was just really well done. They, really, after they got their big opening push, their comp has a lot of tools to stall, and they made sure to use those. They were using their range to good effect. They were using their mobility to get around them and pull the team apart. And they just found those little itty-bitty safe picks to just stall out the rest of the game and make that win kind of in the bad for them. So well played by them, and we will maybe have a chance to see them later on in this tournament. For now, though, going to be moving on to semis after a very close break. Welcome back to From the Ink Up, number 72. We are getting started with our gold bracket semifinals. We're going to have two very high seeded teams here for this round. And this is also going into a best of 5, sure to be a very interesting set as we are getting ready to see who is going to have a chance at that gold medal, that coveted FTIU win and subsequent ban from the tournament, and kind of that graduation of getting out of the FCIU level. We are getting to see Last Beach Effort, our number 1 seed of the tournament, who has until this point not lost a game yet, and we'll see if they can hold on to that perfect record as they face the Phantom Squids. And we're gonna see how this goes. How are you feeling, Jordan?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited about this. These are players who have been to this point before, or at least been close to it before. We've got 2 players on Last Beach Effort who were on the second place team from FTIU week 71. So they've made it to the finals before, that being Shu and Duke on the side of Last Beach Effort. Now, the Phantom Squids, these players have also come pretty close to the top in From the Ink Up. They do consider themselves a bit of a pickup team, but we've seen a few players on them from the team Malevolent Cooler who have previously had some gold bracket runs in From the Ink Up themselves.
Yeah, and as we look at these two teams getting into Haddlefish zones, this map kind of a bit different from the ones that we saw recently, right? We had kind of some more wider maps, this one being notoriously narrow, and basically 3 hallways stacked next to each other. So it will be interesting to see if the comps change compared to what we've seen before. Obviously, we have 2 brand new teams compared to the other 2 that we saw, but you tend to see teams kind of either playing something very close to what they're comfortable with, or making some adjustments to the map mode, depending on what feels good for them. And as we're kind of thinking about doing this map mode in particular, typically you're going to see somebody stationed up on that umbrella that you can maybe kind of see in near the center of that little preview. As that gives a really good view of both the zone and that right side flank, which tends to be the faster one for the opposing team. So a very helpful defensive position for teams to hold on to, and tends to be where you put your backliner so that they can stay safe and stay influential in the game. And it's also where a lot of specials get thrown to get those backliners away from there.
Yeah, one thing I do want to mention is that now we are into the semifinals. This is a best of 5. I'm not sure, did you say that and I missed it, or
I don't know anymore at this point.
Okay, fair enough. Well, this is a best of 5 that we are getting into. So it will take 3 wins to make it to the finals instead of just 2 here.
Yeah, we're seeing Last Beach Effort bringing out 2 shots, but both different kits, as well as the Octo Brush. Brush being a pretty strong pick on this map. It has a lot of speed to be able to take those flanks rather quickly. On the other side, seeing the Wiper and the Sea Blaster and the Tenatet, we're seeing strikes on both sides. One of them going down before the cooler comes out, though, and another one trading that wasn't able to pick it up. That's going to be a strong fight for this is the Phantom Squids in the kind of purplish ink here that are able to find more, and finding another pick as well against the top seed here, getting this opening push and maybe finding this Zuka as well. This is a strong opening push for Phantom Squids as Last Beach Effort is in a huge stagger as another one is going down, and they are looking to try to put some pressure on this choke point and try to keep them away from this zone.
Yeah, actually in just the right spots. They are underneath that glass, able to get the picks that they are looking for. But now
now Last Beach Effort do have Duke set up on that top side with that pencil. Having to back out a little bit. The zone does get neutralized, but not for very long here. Another pick for Fizzy this time onto Apocalypser, looking for another 3 down on the side of Last Beach Effort. This is a quick punch to the face, honestly, for their team from the Phantom Squids. A last-ditch attempt for Last Beach Effort to retake the zone with those strikes comes up short, and that is game 1 right away going to the Phantom Squids.
Yeah, we just saw Phantom Squids just punishing a few positional errors on Last Beach Effort and just managing to find those picks constantly, and Last Beach Effort was really not able to regroup and find a way back into that zone. We saw them getting picked off one at a time before they ever had a chance to mount a big comeback. The one time that they got back together and had this chance, they just got picked off as they walked into mid, and by that time they basically had no more time left. Phantom Squids having a very strong showing and giving Last Beach Effort their first loss of the tournament. We'll see if they can keep it up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Last Beach Effort went into this not dropping a single game, winning all of their games in the group stage, and then taking a clean 2-0 to get to here. But now the Phantom Squids are putting up a fight, and it could even be that Last Beach Effort might have gotten a little bit confident, a little bit overconfident, maybe not running into as much resistance as they will get from this point forward. And now they might need to really sit up in their chairs and play with a bit more chutzpah as we go into game 2 here on Barnacle and Dime.
Yeah, that said, when you face a defeat like that, especially after being undefeated, you can't let it get to you, right? It was a quick 0 to 100 KO, but you know, if you've been winning up until this point, you just got to believe that you have the capability to be able to do it. Just take a deep breath, shake off that loss, and go into the next one with your game face on. Lean forward a little bit in that chair and try to think about the next game. Don't let it get to you too badly.
Yeah, and on Barnacle and Dime, this is going to be Clam Blitz, so it will be harder to knock out as quickly as it was on Zones. And so these teams might want to change something up. I don't know if the Phantom Squids would want to change something up, but Last Beach Effort might, in their case. They don't have any additional players they could substitute in, but they do have multiple weapons at their disposal that they could maybe switch out, especially for a different map and mode.
Yeah, and I would expect to probably see both teams keep the strikes for this particular map mode. Strikes being extremely strong on Barnacle, just by nature of how small the defensive positions tend to be. It's very easy to use those strikes to cut off all routes of escape, to force people to split up from each other or into awkward positions. With just how little space there is to really stand still, those strikes can force you to move very quickly. We do see, I believe those are the sea squelchies coming out. That's going to be the chumps and the beacons. Beacons being pretty useful in this map, being able to get around mid a little bit easier with those. But we're seeing Phantom Squid sticking to old reliable here with the same comp. And we're seeing this Wiper here kind of pushing up on the bottom already, forcing the members of Last Beach Effort to wait a little bit, but they're going to wait for that Cooler to come out. They're now set up on that plat in those spots, and Cooler coming out for Phantom Squids now. It's going to be a big scrum here in mid as both teams are trying to poke and prod at each other. The Blaster is going to find the first pick, and another one is going to go down. That's going to force Last Beach Effort to back up as quick as possible, but not before 3 go down, and the last one has to jump out. Phantom Squids shuffling clams around. They're going to build a power as soon as they can. They have the specials to be able to make this push. The Zipcaster trying to buy some time, but isn't able to find anyone just yet. And that said, managing to find 3 is going to be Last Beach Effort. That power clam going to die here in the court, and Last Beach Effort able to walk back into mid unscathed.
Yeah, a push like that could have gotten Phantom Squids a lot of points if this were Splat Zones.
but since it's clams, they have to go a little bit further and get that clam into the basket. I think Ashley might have been trying to go for a pick onto the Zipcaster after tossing that clam forward, but maybe just going in with it and diving would have been the way to score some points, albeit at the cost of giving a pity clam to Last Beach Effort. But no such luck for them in this case. Toki here with that wiper on that fight with the custom dually squelchers of Shu on the side of Last Beach Effort. Does get a bit of assistance there. Ashley as well getting some assistance, but gets two with that splat bomb. And now the Phantom Squids have the numbers advantage. They're tossing some clams around once again. They have now made a power clam in possession of Toki, passing it over to Jan. And now they are looking to score that into the basket, diving in there, and they do manage to do so, getting that jump out. Fizzy holding a few more, not able to get anything done with it. And now Apocalypser on the side of Last Beach Effort picks up some claims that were dropped and is sharking with that brush over on the left side, watching Ashley move around, not getting quite close enough to do the damage until not quite. They get away quickly.
Yeah, that's going to be suddenly 3 down on Last Beach Effort. The Pen forced to jump out, and Phantom Squid's already with a power clam to be able to extend and get another push. They have a couple of clams ready, and they are already up in their face, but without a lot of paint down on the ground, they're not going to have a lot of room to move in this fight, and quickly are going to get taken out by the members of Last Beach Effort. We're seeing Last Beach Effort doing a really good job of kind of controlling the paint game in general. We're seeing they're using those chumps and the painting capabilities of their weapons to really good effect. They're keeping a lot of paint on the ground, making it difficult for Phantom Squids to sustain this pressure.
Yeah, but the problem is that paint isn't going to be enough if they can't actually move forward with it, because like we see here with Toki using that hammer, getting one pick, clearing out the space where the others are trying to be, getting another with their main weapon, and clearing out some room for another power clam. This is like their third or fourth time putting clams into the basket, and at this point it is past the 60-point mark, down to 31 remaining. They have scored 69 points so far here, but the basket closes up once again, and yet again it is time for Last Beach Effort to try and find a way in.
Yeah, we're seeing Phantom Squids, maybe the team synergy coming into play for them very strongly here. We're seeing they're taking these positions, and these timings on these fights and these engagements are very, very well coordinated between the two. Last Beach Effort maybe getting just a little bit separated or desynced on their pressure here, and Phantom Squid is going to be able to retake their plat yet again with many clams in tow. Even though this trade is happening, that's going to be 3 down on Last Beach Effort, and Phantom Squid's putting that clam in, and maybe another with the jump if they are able to make it. Fizzy here gonna walk in, but as we can see here, Phantom Squid's getting kicked out by Last Beach Effort once again, but still holding very strong in mid with lots of clams to their name. Last Beach Effort going to have to make a pretty big push. They have the time to set up for it, but they need to win a few consecutive team fights if they want a chance at the comeback.
Yeah, they did manage to at least survive that last push without losing any more points. But now they have the claims in their possession, but they don't really have the ability to just get in and actually put them in the basket. Fizzy getting a trade on to those custom dually squelchers and still letting that power clam start to break. Now here's a crab tank. No, not a crab tank. Why did I think that? There's more coming out from Last Beach Effort. Some more paint coming out, but they need more than that to get in. They need to take out the players in their way. Apocalypse are going down on that side over there, and Last Beach Effort really needs to survive these strikes. They take out Fizzy. They do get that Zuka, but they don't get much out of it. Philopolis trying to move that clam in, losing the fight only with a trade. Ashley gets another pick. Overtime is running out, and they get wiped. It's good. That is the game for Phantom Squids, bringing them up 2-0 and just one game away from winning the set.
Yeah, Ashley, they're icing that game with that kind of closing triple. We saw them get into the backfield using their friend as a distraction and then cleaning up those kills. Again, we're seeing some really strong coordination and positional play from the Phantom Squids, taking a lot of fights together and making very good use of it. That team synergy really paying off for them, and we saw, like, look at this defense at the end here, just immaculate. They're keeping the pressure on. Those strikes come out forcing them into this unfortunate corner and giving some entry onto the plat. The Zuka comes out, but there's already someone on the right of the screen, and they just use this distraction to sweep through the team and close out that game. It's beautiful stuff.
Yeah, very well done by the Phantom Squids, bringing them up to a 2-0 lead. But now that this is a best of 5, we still have to see at least one more game here. The Phantom Squids do have a chance to close it out here on tower control on Mako Mart, but they aren't necessarily guaranteed to do so.
That's right. You still got to win your games, right? It's never over until you get all 3 of those wins. So don't count last speech effort out. They may have one last effort within them to be able to hold off this sweep and maybe try to get started on their reverse sweep. We'll see if Phantom Squids can manage to close this out and kind of pull off this upset, taking out the #1 seed and ending this this undefeated streak.
Yeah, that is what they are going to be trying to do, and they have shown great strength so far, but we will see if the Phantom Squids might have a weak point that could be exposed here on Mako Mart, and if Last Beach Effort are able to find it. But that's what's going to happen if Last Beach Effort want to move on to the grand finals as opposed to the 3rd place match.
Yeah, we'll see, but honestly, Phantom Squid's comp here pretty strong between the blaster for the AoE and the wiper for the mobility around those corners, and also having hammer to be able to rat in these kind of narrow hallways that Mako is kind of comprised of, all of these kind of shorter kind of narrow areas where you kind of walk between all of the stacks and the areas that you can get on top of things. Having AoE and some rat weapons on this map can be very strong, especially on tower control when that first checkpoint pulls everybody to one side of the map, and if you send a quick weapon the other way, it can become a problem very quickly. We'll see how these teams decide to shake things out. We're seeing a backlist comp coming out on the side of Last Beach Effort, maybe switching things up and trying to give themselves maybe a little bit more mobility and independence. We're seeing the same old thing, except switching off to the Neo Splash instead of the T-Tech, maybe looking for those suction bombs for tower. The Wiper going down a little bit early here, and we're seeing the Blaster on both sides actually using that AoE again to kind of control the stat, getting a trade on the other Blaster. And both teams kind of holding in neutral here, trying to poke and prod at each other and not quite able to find any solid advantage. Still, the tower is first going to go to Last Beach Effort, and they're going to push up onto the stat very quickly, moving this Wiper out, but they're going to stay over on this side, try to hold this stat. 2 more going down, and again, very neutral game so far.
Yeah, but now with Shu being the last one left after switching to that Neo Splash-O-Matic, they have that suction bomb ready to go and a whole lot of paint, as well as the tri-strikes that are coming out now. But Toki's bringing that hammer back out, not able to get anything done immediately, and it gets caught on that wall, but still 3 go down to the rest of the team. And now the Phantom Squids are looking at checkpoint 2, looking to get through the first checkpoint. Sorry, that is checkpoint number 1. And they are already through it. They are down to 61 points remaining. They go 2 down, but also take out 2, putting the pressure on to Last Beach Effort here. As we see, Last Beach Effort is in the cyan and Phantom Squids in the orange. Now, Toki here riding the tower, has that Ultra Stamp ready to go, jumps over to the side, looking for a pick, gets one, only a trade, but it still doesn't quite allow the team to move the tower any further.
Yeah, this first checkpoint is kind of a monster to break through. There's just everybody so close to spawn and able to come back and defend from such a very inaccessible area. We're seeing, even with all of those picks and the pressure that they had, it's very difficult to break through. This is a good start, though, taking control of this high ground and maybe getting around the members of Last Beach Effort, making things a little bit difficult. The Brush going down and trading, I think, one of those members, but we're seeing this Neo Sploosh finally getting taken out, and that's going to be another wipeout on Last Beach Effort. Phantom Squids looking for another chance at this Chet. They have broken the checkpoint, but they're going to have to move past it, and this cooler coming out is going to make it difficult. They need something to be able to move these players, and the Blaster might be able to do it if they're not careful, though. Gets taken out, and the splashdown, that tower has moved past a little bit, but that is going to stop that push for now as 3 go down, but the Splash still alive with those strikes at the ready, going to be able to have an answer for this push, being careful not to get taken out by the Sea Blaster. Strikes coming out from Last Beach Ever, and the response pushing those members back. The tower is still going to go out though, and we're seeing a bit of a play for this flank route, it looks like. Phantom Squid's opting to rotate to this left side of the map, but 2 more going down. This is going to be a big chance at the lead for Last Beach Effort, and 3 going down. That's going to be a huge opportunity for them. The strikes coming out, and with them set up on their plat, this is going to be a bit of a hole that Phantom Squids are going to have to dig themselves out of, and with 2 more going down, that checkpoint is going to go. We do see the Wiper on the top side, but forced to drop in, and is going to get taken out. More members trading back and forth. We're seeing a bit of some desperation here to hold this push off, and more members going down and getting taken out. They haven't found this high ground advantage yet, but the tower slowly resetting its way back into mid. That's going to be the end of that push for now, but that is a strong push for Last Beach Effort, finally kind of putting themselves on the board here.
Yeah, the shoe was on the other foot for a bit of a moment there, with the 3 going down and just Ashley left alive on that Neo Splash. Now Ashley forcing on to jump out on the side of Last Beach Effort, bringing out those strikes, one of which gets caught on a sign and doesn't make it all the way to that plat. But Ashley does get Filmopolis, who drops down, throws another suction bomb up ahead of the tower, and maybe doesn't quite clear a place as Chu gets the clean pick onto Jan and drops back. And now with 3 down once again on the side of the Phantom Squids, the splashdown cancel doesn't quite go according to plan, and so Last Beach Effort do hold on to this lead here. They just need to keep going, maybe not lose fights quite like that. Toki looking for another pick, getting a couple hits onto that Zipcaster, and that does allow the Zipcaster to be taken out. But now the Phantom Squids are going to need more than 3 players going down and just their pencil being left alive and vulnerable to getting rushed down. The pencil does have to jump out, and now the Phantom Squids need to take the tower, but with the other players protecting it, that splashdown coming out, Last Beach Effort stay alive here with a win in the set.
Yeah, finally able to kind of stop the bleeding in the set, getting not just some score on the board, but also a win, and holding off that sweep, maybe seeing Last Beach Effort finally able to kind of find their footing here and find an answer to Phantom Squid's plays. We saw them doing a really good job of taking advantage of the opportunities they had when approaching that first checkpoint, right? Being willing to kind of stall the tower there and wait for just a second to give themselves a chance to win the fight and then push the tower. Members of Phantom Squids maybe feeling a little bit of pressure to close this set out. Gonna have to go back to the drawing board just a little bit and try to win the next game. But again, it's one of those situations you don't want to let it get to you. You've already beaten this team twice before. You can try to do it one more time.
Yeah, and so the Phantom Squids are just going to have to maybe take a little breather, get ready for the next game. They know they can win this. At least that's what they've got to think. Who's to say what will actually happen? But yeah, they have won 2 games already, and with the next game being Rainmaker on Undertow Spillway, they are going to want to look for what they can do to win. I have a feeling that they are going to stick with something similar to what they have been running. Of course, with Toki on that Wiper, Jan on the Pencil, and Fizzy on the Custom Blaster.
Yeah, with Rainmaker Undertow, I think we're going to see this really get determined by that push through that choke point after that first check, right? The game really does get decided by that checkpoint. How you choose to push after that, how you choose to defend it, that is really the key area, and the points go really, really quickly after that moment. And especially in a game as fast as Rainmaker, those points become really crucial. It is common to see pretty big scores on this map. If you don't see big scores, it's because both teams are holding their defense very strongly. I feel like if we don't see a lot of flanking, I will be very surprised. It's very strong, especially trying to break through that checkpoint. If you're able to get somebody up that ramp to do a little bit of work and pull people away from where the Rainmaker is. We're seeing Last Beach Effort choosing to stick with their previous game comp and the V shot coming back out, as well as the edit probably opting to choose that, both for the DPS on the Rainmaker and also because Pen is a little bit weaker on this map with how much cover there is. The edit going to give them a little bit more mobility and some strength in defending those choke points. The Blaster, though, going to find a collat here very quickly as Duke here able to find those picks on the left side, and now Phantom Squid's nobody in the way of the Rainmaker, going to get taken out by another. And they are not able to find the pick on the Rainmaker. That's going to be a quick breakaway for Last Beach Effort, and they are set up to maybe get more if they're not careful. That's going to be another one down on Phantom Squids. This push could go very quickly. The Zipcaster comes out, and we are looking for a few more picks, but getting the pick on the Zipcaster, Last Beach Effort getting shut down at this choke point. Like we said, the strikes come out but then get traded out, and that is going to be some pretty solid defense by Phantom Squids, able to stop that before it got too out of hand.
Yeah, that could have gotten really concerning if Last Beach Effort were able to move the Rainmaker past that pop, but some really good picks from Jan on that heavy edit Splatling meant that they were able to stop that push from getting any further. One thing I did notice actually is that the Phantom Squids, 3 of them, everyone except the Wiper, are running Object Shredder, and even the Wiper isn't running Stealth Jump. They have some Inksaver sub, maybe to give them some more torpedoes, but now all of that Object Shredder is really working in their favor as it gives them a quick pop on the Rainmaker as Toki picks it up. They have main of Swim Speed equipped, and they are already swimming to the checkpoint, and they almost knock it out immediately!
Yeah, we saw the Phantom Squids getting some key picks. They were playing a little bit of a patient game, but finally managed to get the breakaway. It's all the way down to 1 at this point. If you're the Phantom Squids, all you have to do is not wipe. That's going to be so key for this defense. You can keep trying to play for the pressure and keep it on. We're seeing that they're still ratting in their base a little bit. The shot getting caught just manages to jump out somehow, not going down to that Rainmaker pop. And this is going to give Last Beach Effort a bit of a chance to set back up on this left side. The strikes coming out to give a little bit of space over on the right. The Zap going down, unfortunately, in that team fight. They're trying to deal with this flank. This Wiper giving them a little bit of trouble. They do manage to turn and take it out, and now we are reset back into neutral. But if you're Last Beach Effort, you've got a ways to go if you want to hold off this loss.
Yeah, and the thing is, Last Beach Effort are really going to need to figure out how to get through the Phantom Squids here, because they'll need to win the fights that they take. They'll need to prevent, say, a flank from the Wiper there, as they are able to do, with 2 down on the side of the Phantom Squids. One more is still in their way. That's Ashley there, getting the pick onto the Rainmaker and surviving to get out. Maybe trying to hold on, not quite managing to do so. Shu goes for a pick from underneath onto the edit, but doesn't quite manage it. Even though all of that Object Shredder is being run by the Phantom Squids, they still when to back up a little bit, maybe let the other team get that pop, but still take out the players and prevent them from actually moving forward off of it.
Yeah, Ashley is in here taking names, just diving in there and getting the trade off there, using that cooler to their advantage to be able to take advantageous fights and trades going in their favor. Fizzy able to clean up that brush that was giving them a little bit of trouble. 2 down on Last Beach Effort, and we're seeing Phantom Squids taking strong control of mid, not opting to pick it up just yet, just going to secure all of this paint and all of this control to make it really difficult for Last Beach Effort to break their way in. We're seeing Jan just opting to hold charge back here and kind of babysit this Rainmaker while the rest of their team is up in their spawn causing havoc. Last Beach Effort having a hard time regrouping with all of the members of Phantom Squids attacking them from all angles, sharking them out here, trying to find a pit and getting the trade here. Again, so much stall power with only a minute left. Phantom Squids here set up and making it hard for them to break back in.
Yeah, I thought Jan was just trying to paint for a tag cooler maybe before picking it up, but they did put out the cooler, didn't actually pick up the Rainmaker, just letting it stay there as the time ticks down. Toki getting 2 picks and looking for a third as their teammate goes down, managing to get it onto Shu, coming in from Apocalypse, but it gets spotted out by that torpedo. Toki picks up the Rainmaker and starts running it over to this side. Apocalypser does manage to get over
into that area and manages to take out the Rainmaker. This will give potentially Last Beach Effort a chance to make an overtime comeback, but they've already broken through the checkpoint and they have a long way to go. They need to get a knockout here. There's only a few seconds left if they don't get overtime to keep it alive. They're holding on to the Rainmaker, but it's being collapsed on by Toki, and that is the end of the run for Last Beach Effort.
I got a little bit dicey there. That choice to pull the Rainmaker into the enemy corner, giving them a chance at overtime, almost bit them in the back there, but managing to clutch out that kill on the Rainmaker is going to ice the set for Phantom Squids, taking down the top seed Last Beach Effort, breaking their undefeated streak, and almost sweeping them, and winning in some pretty convincing fashion. They will punch their ticket into the final round of this FGIU.
Yeah, they only have one more set in their way, but the same could be said about the other team that will be meeting them there. In this game here that we just saw, that was a very much a single strong push from Phantom Squids that got them all the way to 1 point remaining, and they didn't really need to try to get the knockout from there as long as they were able to prevent it on the side of Last Beach Effort. And with Last Beach Effort, they still weren't able to overwhelm the defenses of the Phantom Squids there like they might have wanted to do with that backless comp that they were running.
Yeah, when it came down to it, all of that short-range pressure and the splatling able to make it very difficult for them to move through those tight corners and the close combat that they had to deal with. Strong picks from Phantom Squids and really strong plays from them to be able to clutch out that set. They're going to move on to the final round, and we will be right back with that final round after a short break. Don't go away. It's going to be a fun one. Welcome back and good evening. Welcome to the final round of From the Ink Up 72. This is the set for all the marbles for that gold medal for that FTAU ban. The two teams that are coming up are, we've seen one of them in just our last set in semis, putting on a strong upset and ending a undefeated streak from one team. And then on the other side, we are going to have Jam challenging the Phantom Squids. Jam having had a very strong run as well, having only dropped one game in their semifinal round to Starboard, who we also saw recently. These are the two teams that are going to fight for the top spot, and we're going to see who comes out on top in this best of 5. First to 3 wins is going to take it all home.
Yeah, and we will be starting out here with Splat Zones on Mako Mart. So this is a map that we have seen before. It is a mode that we have seen much before. I'm not sure if we've seen them in conjunction yet in today. I've been here the whole time, but we've seen a lot of Splatoon tonight, and so let's see how this goes.
Jordan's been here the whole time. Yeah, we're gonna see zones on Mako Mart. This is your battlefield of Splatoon. This is the really balanced one that everybody seems to like. A very typical game 1 kind of map mode. Lots of opportunities for lots of comps to succeed on this map. A lot of different options and play styles possible. Couple of different routes, couple of different ways to retake. We'll see how both teams choose to play this out.
Yeah, that we will. Both of these teams having a lot of weapons in their arsenals. We will see whether they have just one particular comp that they choose to stick with, or maybe even on the side of the Phantom Squids, they could just swap out players even in between games, or it could be just between sets. We did see them running Toki, Fizzy, Jen, and Ashley in the previous round, with Toki sticking to that Wiper and Fizzy on the custom blaster. Ashley playing short-range shooters like the Splash and Shot, and then Jan being that backline and cooler provider on Pencil or Edit. But now we are going to see what they decide to do once they go in. So, are there any weapons, Nate, that you would like to see as we get into this?
I would be very surprised to not see a bucket come out on at least one team. A bucket or a blaster. The stacks are huge on this map, and if you're trying to contest them, you want something that can safely pressure them. We are seeing a blaster come out on the side of Phantom Squids. Jam opting for the Carbon Roller as well as the Range Blaster. We're seeing a bit of a range advantage, at least in the majority of the weapons, from that CRB going to give them quite a bit of reach and poking power in mid here. We're seeing both teams opening up very quickly on the stacks. The Wiper already up on the left side, causing Jam to have to turn to deal with this threat. The members of Phantom Squids all collapsing in on them. Trades happening. Jam managing to pull off the cap first. But the Range Blaster finding 2, it's just going to be the, or that was the Custom Blaster. The Range Blaster having to jump out, I think might have jumped to the wrong person, and that's going to be Phantom Squids with the first hold and managing to find a bit of a stagger here. The strike's going down already, and we're seeing this blaster kind of poking and prodding at people. They will have splashdown ready unless they go down to something unfortunate. The strike's coming out from Phantom Squids to try to hold control of this stack. But Jam here managing to regroup with a lot of special power. The Kraken's going to come out to force people off. The strike's going on the zone to try to force the flip. But somebody in the backfield causing a bit of trouble. The Wiper is here, and the members of Phantom Squids are pinching the members of Jam. Going to get a few key picks, holding control of the zone still, and the timer is still ticking away. This Wiper is still living and finding one. It's just 25 ticks left. They have the hammer, and if they're not careful, that's going to be enough. But they get canceled by the other Carbon here, and that's going to be a quick wipeout from Jam, holding off that KO, and now they have a chance to hold on for their lead swap.
Yeah, I noticed that Fizzy on the side of the Phantom Squids was sharking under that that stack, but now with 2 going down on Jam, they still managed to hold on the zone. But earlier, in their first push, the Phantom Squids had Fizzy under that stack go down to a Zuka, and then having that damage
from that blaster not available led to a little bit of a stagger there, which gave Jam almost 50 points. But just almost 50 points isn't going to cut it when the other team has already made it past the 30-point remaining mark. And in fact, no one on Jam is running last-ditch effort, so none of them will be able to benefit from the buff that would be provided with the opposing team having less than 30 remaining. Frieza out here using that Trizuka, not finding anything with it, but does manage to take out, actually using their main weapon. The splashdown is coming out from the Phantom Squids, but it doesn't fully cap the zone. However, Fizzy's main weapon does finish off the last bit of ink that they needed.
Phantom Squid's doing a really good job of just regrouping very quickly, getting a special online, and then all running into the zone with the pressure they got. Jam getting caught, maybe using their specials a little bit early. Phantom Squid's doing a good job of forcing those. We're seeing a flank here on the stat. Moist caught between a rock and a hard place, had to turn around, but then got pinched by the members of those, and those jumps are getting camped, and Phantom Squid set up here again on the top right stat, having to look for this carbon. Gonna have to be careful. That weapon wants you to walk into it. They do manage to poke it out, and that's gonna be another stagger, and that penalty is going to tick down. The blaster desperately jumping in and gets taken out. There's only 20 ticks left, and Phantom Squids have the specials to hold this down. Jam with nothing to their name, only 10 ticks left. The carbon's gonna get taken out. The strikes are coming out to hold down the zone. Members of Jam going down one at a time, and Phantom Squid's going to take game one in a very convincing fashion.
Yeah, that was decisive in favor of the Phantom Squids. Even when there were a few moments, they got wiped out at one point, all four down at the same time, but still they were able to come in. They were able to relatively quickly retake, and they dropped maybe 50 points, which seems like a lot, but it's short enough for a very good retake. And so this is after that we are seeing the replay now. A great bomb actually dropping down off that stack, getting another splat with a second bomb, and with those players on Jam coming in one at a time, they weren't able to make it to the zone. They just kept going down, and they just couldn't get there to prevent this knockout win.
Yeah, Phantom Squid's retakes proving to be one of their strong points. We've seen on multiple occasions already, both in the semis and in this particular game. They are doing a very strong job of kind of textbook retake, which is get all your teammates up, get a special, and then go button, and kind of moving in with that pressure, taking some very good fights and making sure that they're getting a lot of value out of those specials and those team fights. Going into Scorched Clams, though, very different map. This is very backline favored compared to Mako. Still some good verticality, though. Both teams with those AoE weapons still have lots of opportunity to do some things. I imagine we'll see a couple of changes, maybe on both sides. We have seen Phantom Squids running pretty much the same comp every game so far, but I am aware that Jam has a couple of different weapons at their disposal, and we'll see what they end up choosing going into Clan Blitz. We are seeing not opting for the pen, maybe opting for a little bit more defensive power. We are seeing the Headed come out on both sides, maybe not needing quite as much paint power for the zone. We do see a Splash-O-Matic coming out, and but still the CRB as well. That Kraken going to be able to give a lot of pressure through these kind of difficult choke points. This map requires a lot of pressure to be able to sustain a push here. Seeing the Wiper again poking at people very quickly along with the Blaster. Cooler's going to come out, I think, on both sides already, and these teams are going to look for some fights. The Splash going down rather quickly. We're seeing the paint advantage coming out for Phantom Squids. They're managing to find a couple of picks, finding the CRB in kind of a rough spot. Makes a good jump, though, back onto the plat, and that's going to be a very nice regroup. We're seeing the power of having juice in those team fights. They are right back into mid and right back at it, fighting. One member, though, going down already. The Zuka's coming out, does manage to find one pick, but there goes another one, and this Zuka now in a bit of a rough spot, but manages to dive the CRB and finds another, trading it, and they are managing to hold off those picks. 3 going down on the side of the green team here. That's going to be Phantom Squids and Jam here now with a chance to kind of set up and try to win a couple more fights to try to break their way in and score.
Yeah, I will say though that is not a CRB. That is a custom blaster that Finn has brought in instead of the CRB, switching to play the same weapon as Fizzy. And the last time that happened, the previous team were able to manage to win that game. And in fact, Jam are able to put Frieza in a forward position with Sharking with that carbon roller, but there's a power clam jumping all the way across the map and scoring now. That was a bit of a surprise push there for Jam as the Phantom Squids managed to put together another power clam, actually picking up those 3 clams that do spawn on that snipe and putting them into the basket along with the rest of that power clam. In fact, getting all the way down to 36 remaining. That is 2 power clams and 8 more small clams, scoring 64 points here for the Phantom Squids and setting a mark that it might be difficult for Jam to beat if the Phantom Squids are able to defend this.
Yeah, especially with Toki here causing some more trouble, managing to get a trade. Does go down, but they had cooler, and they're going to be right back in the action as soon as they can. Although I think their cooler ran out, might buy them a little time, but the members of Phantom Squids punishing a few overextended members of Jam. This Carbon getting poked out and is going to be forced to retreat if they're not careful. The CRB going to make things very difficult for them as they have the location potential and the chip damage, able to poke around corners and common shark places. They're just diving that Carbon, getting rid of it. They don't want to have to deal with that at all. The crab tank comes out, but nobody's able to follow up on it. Cooler is going to be there. Members of Jam able to kind of walk their way back into mid and contest this top mid area. One going down though. Trades coming out there, rushing towards the basket and managed to find the score, and more going down, and the Hammer's going to take out 3, and that's going to be Phantom Squids again with big score and big map control potential here, already ticking through their penalty points and maybe trying to look for a few more, but the members of Jam able to come back quickly and shut down that push, but still getting that penalty most of the way gone. And with 2 down on Jam, Phantom Squids are doing an excellent job of holding on to this match so far.
Yeah, they didn't score any real points off of that. They did get to the point where 1 more power clam will reduce that number remaining, the important score that is left. But so the Jam still have to make quite a push, quite a lot of points there, but a very clean pick despite that burst bomb. Jan able to take out Frieza, looking for a little bit more. Here's Yoshi on that crab tank, not taking anyone out with it, but Toki getting in there and getting the pick. Toki diving forward, painting up a path for the clan to go through. There's that splashdown coming out from Finn on the custom blaster, but it isn't enough to stop the Phantom Squids from scoring, and they just need 1 more clam to get this knockout, and that goes. With just a few seconds left, they end it right away with a knockout.
The pushing power of Phantom Squids has been a force to reckon with in this tournament. We've seen them both in the previous set and this one, seemingly always on the same page, always moving forward with some really good specials, playing some strong positions and getting a few picks before moving in. They're playing some textbook Splatoon here and also keeping this aggression on. It's been paying off. They got a couple of cheeky pushes in, and they seem to always have somebody on the other side of the enemy team able to quickly take space here and counter push and just kind of force the points through. And it's been paying off for them very big so far. They only need 1 more win if they want to take home this tournament.
Yeah, they are on tournament point out here, up 2-0 in the grand finals as we move on to game 3, Hagglefish Market Tower Control. I really feel like they're going to stick with what works for them. Toki on Wiper, Fizzy on Custom Blaster, Jan on a backline cooler provider, and Ashley on a short range shooter.
Yeah, this is, we've seen that they haven't made a whole lot of changes, maybe just 1 or 2 weapon swaps in similar roles to just kind of play to the strengths of the map mode. It's been working out very well for them. They seem to have a really strong game plan. They know their maps, they know their modes, they know their plans. Their teamwork has been really stellar. It's very clear to see that they are comfortable with each other and they know what they're doing. If you're Jam, you really just kind of have to take a deep breath here and play as confidently as you can. It's always desperation plays that can really bite you in the behind, especially when the pressure gets on. So taking a deep breath, trusting that you know how to play your game, you know how your teammates will play, and just making your best effort. You just kind of have to keep your head down. Don't get too antsy, and keep the confidence up. There is always a chance. You're not out until you lose 3 times.
Yeah, and Jam have not lost 3 times in this set so far, so they absolutely have the potential to make a comeback here. They would have to really get it done on Hagglefish Market on tower control here. This is another map mode where the objective can really bounce back and forth between relatively low scores for both teams until one push happens to go the right way and really leads to a bit of a snowball effect. But as these teams are spawning in, we are going to see one more time, potentially the last time, not necessarily, what these teams are going to be bringing. It is what we have been familiar with from the Phantom Squids, but Jam bringing out the Tri-Stringer.
Yeah, not a bad pick. There is some verticality that being able to launch those explosive arrows over cover are going to be able to exploit, as well as the mist to defend some of these really important choke points, maybe stopping some tower jumps, right? There's one key jump from the tower into some defensive ground that can be stopped with that mist, and the whale going to be able to clear the tower very easily for them. It's a strong pick for sure. I could see this working in their favor, especially when they've already got one pick and cooler out. They're going to be pushing up with this crab tank on the tower, forcing the members of Phantom Squid all the way back here, maybe getting a bit more, getting 2 picks, and this is a good looking push for Jam, already getting a 3rd, even with the cooler from the Phantom Squids. They are 2 down, and they are about to lose this key defensive ground. This snowball is already starting to roll.
Yeah, Jam with Finn back onto that custom range blaster, bringing out the Kraken to get a little bit more space for the team. That doesn't really lead to a second checkpoint, though, as the tower is stopped at 44 remaining. Moist here fighting over on the side with a bit of help from their friends, managing to get a pick before going down to that Ultra Stamp from the flank. And now the Phantom Squids, they know what mark they have to beat to take the lead at this point. Ashley jumping forward off of the tower. No need to help out to get that pick over on the left side, though. And the cooler is ready to go. They've dropped off the tower, gotten yet another splat. On the other side, the tower does get stopped, but Fizzy is ready up here under this ledge that there are so many of, looking for a pick, getting Frizza's Tri-Stringer, using that splashdown to extend their life and extend the push, forcing Moist to jump out. And now the Phantom Squids are already through the first checkpoint themselves, and the lead that Jam had is not looking so safe.
Did you see how their blaster just kind of sat there waiting for those tri-strikes to come out? The communication is so stellar with Phantom Squids. Getting 2 more down there, looking to close out this tournament, but 2 going down. The strike's going to stall a little bit. A 3rd goes down. It's just the splash here, scrambling around the tower, dancing, trying to get a couple more points, and Jam is going to be able to stop that push by the skin of their teeth. Although another jump in does manage to take 1 with them, but finally clearing out the last of those jumps. Jam finally getting kind of digging their way out of that hole. That was looking really rough for just a second, but Phantom Squid set up in a really strong position with half of the game done and a strong lead, and taking that crab tank out with all of this pressure coming out. Phantom Squids are looking really strong here.
Yeah, I think that jump in from Toki was a might as well try, because not running stealth jump, jumping into a teammate who is about to die, that really could not have done much more than just stall the enemies for maybe another 2 seconds. But now the tower is back into mid, and the Phantom Squids have those tri-strikes coming out. They have the numbers disadvantage, though, with Fizzy. One of their main getters of splats going down. That does mean they'll have to wait a little bit longer to have their full fighting power. And now with Jan going down, they will have to wait longer for coolers as well, as Jan is down to just 20 points, 20% of their special charge. But Fizzy waiting here by the tower path means that Jam are going to have to get through them to get forward, or displace them with maybe a Kraken from Finn. It's ready to go. Maybe a
crab tank from Yoshi. That's also ready to go, but they are only popping the crab tank so far. Finn moving forward, using the range of that custom range blaster to try and keep themselves safe while getting some picks. They do get one and pop Kraken before they can get traded back out, but no one's on the tower now, and then all three must have realized it at the same time as they all rushed towards it. That might have been a key mistake for Jam, as they lost a little bit of time there for the Phantom Squids to come back in.
Yeah, that was a really big opportunity, and unfortunately with no one riding that tower and all of them forced to back up, they had to give up this key defensive ground, but they have managed to find the picks and managed to find themselves back into a winning position here. The members of Phantom Squids all scrambling at the tower, though. Jam forced into a corner here, and that's going to be the wipeout from Phantom Squids. They are now taking this winning position with only 30 seconds left. Jam going to have to be forced to walk all the way back into mid, grab the tower, and run it all the way down to 18 points if they want a chance to hold off this loss.
Yeah, a lot can happen here in just 20 seconds. Finn getting this Kraken and getting one, trying to stay alive, not quite managing to do so, but a Splat Bomb takes out two on the side of the Phantom Squids. Yoshi looking for more, forcing one to jump out, wondering if there might be someone up there, putting pressure down from that crab tank to defend. No one is immediately threatening the tower, but they're going to have to deal with that. They're going to have to keep someone on the tower. It is overtime. It is the last chance for Jam to stay alive. They take out one, but the tri-strikes come out, and the Phantom Squids have taken the set. They are your From the Ink Up 72 champions.
Wow, what an electric ending to that game. It looked like Jam almost had it in them to be able to pull off that lead, but those key jumps from Phantom Squids, they've done such a good job this whole tournament of keeping the pressure on, always having one person alive, one person with special, being able to regroup so quickly. They had such strong defense and such strong pushes here. Really amazing coordination from them, truly, to be able to pull off this win. It is well deserved, and they will enjoy that FTIU band, that little graduation present, and will kind of move their way up through the ranks. Jam having put on a really good effort and a really good show. Second place is nothing to sneeze at. We will see them again, I'm sure, up in these finals.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, one thing I actually am noticing is that last game on Hagglefish Tower, we saw that way back in the second round of groups, in the match between Inkspire and Inkblot Dropouts, we saw a similar kind of situation where one player had the tri-strikes ready to go and was ready to use them to end a comeback push in overtime. But in that situation, the strikes didn't all go onto the tower, and the team pushing the tower was still able to make it a little bit further. And so as you get through to the finals, even in a skill cap tournament like this, you still see the cream rising to the top with the execution coming out from these teams, these players. This team calls itself a pickup, the Phantom Squids. In their Sendu bio, they just say they're a pickup, and most of the players do have other teams listed, but being able to work together like that, being able to execute, to know how to win these games, it really shows as they manage to make it all the way through and take the top spot in this tournament.
Yeah, congratulations to them on battle well fought and well won. Congratulations to our winners. And that's going to be it for tonight's tournament, for tonight's FTIU. Thank you guys so much for watching. We would like to leave you with a little bit of info on where to find us. Jordan, where can we find you when you're not on the mic for 4 hours?
Yeah, hey, it's only been 3.25 hours. I'm totally, I could do this all night. I'm totally fine. But yeah, when I am not commentating, you can find me on Blue Sky, where my handle is squidoku.bsky.social. That is Squidoku, Squidoku. And you can also find me on the Fediverse, where I am on splatsville.social, also at Squidoku. How about you, Nate? Where can the fine folks find you?
You can find me and the rest of the Whip Rays on Twitch, YouTube, and on Blue Sky. Just look for Nate the Great with those 8s in the middle. And check us out on our tournament runs. and our crazy antics. We would love to see you guys there and get to know y'all.
I can vouch. This team has some crazy antics indeed.
Indeed. Definitely the most normal Splatoon team known to man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And also, I'd like to thank our wonderful streamer Splatcat, bringing you these incredible graphics produced by the team at Under Pressure.
Yeah, and thanks to all of our TOs and to all of you players out there, watchers, spectators, thanks for coming out and supporting this tournament. This is such a good event, put on with a lot of really hard work from a lot of people behind the scenes, so please give them all of your love, and thank you for participating. We really do appreciate it, and we are just so pleased to be able to be a part of it. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope that you enjoy your Splatoon games, and that you have a very, very good night. Thank you.